Republicans on the House Energy and Commerce Committee are planning to meet from 10:15 a.m. to noon on Tuesday and from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Wednesday as they work through an internal fight over Medicaid spending cuts. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
The latest jobs report shows the economy created 177,000 jobs last month, exceeding expectations. Heritage Foundation economist E.J. Antoni says during the previous administration, government hiring was often used to blunt the negative impact of Biden economic policy.
We had several months under Biden where there was no increase in unemployment solely because of all of the folks who got hired in the government.
Heritage economist E.J. Antoni on the Salem Radio Network. Watching Wall Street ahead of this morning's opening bell, stock futures deep in the red. The Dow futures are down just over 300 points. NASDAQ futures are off 240. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You heard the news. Newsmax just went public on the New York Stock Exchange and listed on the big board. Millions of Americans like you are joining our news revolution. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top 12 news brands in America. Even President Trump says it's terrific. 40 million Americans go to Newsmax, and its audience grew 50% since the same time last year. Millions really are making the switch to Newsmax. If you want to be a Newsmax share owner, call your advisor or get more info at newsmaxinvest.com. Stand with Newsmax today for a strong America. This communication is for informational purposes only and shall not be intended to or shall not constitute any offer to buy or sell securities, nor shall there be any sale of securities in any jurisdiction in which such offer, solicitation, or sale would be unlawful.
A Russian journalist who escaped house arrest in Moscow has resurfaced in Paris after a challenging journey.
Russian authorities had arrested the veteran journalist and film critic Ekaterina Barabash, born in Kharkiv, Ukraine, upon her return to Russia from a film festival in February. She was put under house arrest, facing a 10-year prison sentence for posts condemning Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The outspoken war critic tore off her electronic monitoring tag and with the help from the group Reporters Without Borders escaped, covering 1,700 miles using clandestine routes to evade surveillance. I'm Charles Dillevest.
German lawmakers are to vote on the next chancellor again, hours after Friedrich Merz failed to win the first round in Parliament in an historic defeat. Merz had been expected to smoothly win the vote to become Germany's 10th chancellor since World War II. News and analysis, townhall.com. The man charged with aggravated arson in a massive New Jersey wildfire is being released, provided he wears an ankle monitor.
At a hearing Monday, a judge also ruled that Joseph Kling must stay away from the forest and undergo a mental health evaluation as he awaits trial. The 19-year-old, who is due back in court May 19th, is accused of leaving a bonfire he started in the woods without properly putting it out. A 17-year-old also faces the same charges. The New Jersey Forest Fire Service says the Jones Road wildfire is now 90% contained after burning more than 15,000 acres. Tasha Stevens reporting.
All 4 international airports around Moscow temporarily suspended flights today as Russia says its forces intercepted more than 100 Ukrainian drones. Russia's defense ministry says almost a dozen Russian regions were targeted by that Ukrainian drone attack. More on these stories, townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The tabloid said, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcast
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning, one and all. Welcome to Mornings with Mike Winters. I am he. That would be me, Mike Winters. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Se ste mayo.
Yeah.
Yes, we all made it through, hungover though we may be. Various states of awake and undress, probably.
I think it rained last night.
Oh, it rained nicely last night. It was, to quote the great Eddie Rabbit, I love a rainy night.
Yeah, it rained right proper last night.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, everyone. I didn't hear reports of flooding or nothing like that this morning.
No flooding.
But a good steady puddles, and it was raining when I went to bed about 9:30, 10, and then I got up around 1:32, and it was raining then too.
Yeah,
pretty proper. I don't remember anything after that. I slept till about five something this morning, and then woke up and it was not raining then. So.
Did you get hail?
Yes.
At a point?
At least it because my wife about 4:30 or so. My wife had to go.
Yesterday afternoon. Yeah.
My wife had to go to the neighbor's house or something, and she said while she was over there that started hailing, and she had to wait out the hail to come back.
Yeah.
So
it was only like 2 or 3 like 3-4 minutes.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good there for a minute.
Yeah, we got a bit o' hail. That's that candy bar by name. Bit o' hail.
Bit o' hail. I always worry about because, I mean, I know that window panes are stronger than I give them credit for, but I also my place is a little old, so might be up to code.
Oh yeah, it's always every time I hear the thinking, I'm like, oh, I know it's not, but what if it does? Like I had those skylights I keep talking about in my house, and that's how I know it rains because that's things pitter patter. I'm like, oh, I hear them on the skylight. It's raining. Yeah, but it does every time when the hail. Part of me says, is it gonna crack that thing, or is it? Nope. So far so good.
It's either raining or cats are tap dancing up there.
Yeah. Right? All of the above. It's hailing while cats are frolicking on my roof.
Well, cats hate getting wet, so that makes sense. Like, stop it, stop. Wait,
yeah. But yeah, we did get some rain yesterday.
It was nice. It cooled things down a bit.
We do have a 30% chance we could see some more this afternoon.
Okay.
But I don't know. Everyone's kind of like, yeah, it might rain. So it's either going to pour the dickens or we ain't going to see anything. So, of course, that's pretty much the options every time. But
that's spring around Roswell. I actually saw something interesting.
It is going to be chilly, though, today. Like 68s are high, hence my long sleeve situation.
Yeah, I should probably give myself a long sleeve situation after I head out here. I was watching something actually early this morning, like 4:30 this morning. I didn't really wake up. And I was just watching this thing. It was talking about how the tornado alley as we know it is shifting westward. Like over the course of decades
so
or whatever.
Are we more in the heart of it or something?
We're actually we're getting closer to the outskirts of Tornado Alley now.
Oh, sweet. We're about to leave it?
So no, we're on the other side.
Oh,
it's coming
so it's coming in.
us. Yeah.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
So if you start seeing
far east.
No, if you start seeing increased tornadic activity, there's a good reason
why.
Well,
and here's something like you talked about it yesterday, where we get the bevy of storm notifications, everything every time this happens. Did you read some of the notifications yesterday?
A couple of them, but they never go into great detail.
Well, it didn't, but it was enough to say it sounds like Armageddon out there, because I got every notice from severe thunderstorm warning to tornado warning.
I got tornado warning.
Winter storm watch.
Wait, what?
A couple of them said winter storm watch.
Severe thunderstorm.
I'm like, how is it we got a winter storm watch? Is there a blizzard popping up I don't know about now? What is going on?
No, I got a lot of hail warnings, severe thunderstorm.
I double checked. I deleted them all because there was 50 of them, but I remember because I remember one popped up and I looked at it and said, does that say winter storm watch? and I double checked, and I'm blind, so I had to really yep, it said winter storm watch.
Is there that much of a difference between half dollar size hail and golf ball sized hail? Because I gotta figure they're about the same size, right?
Give or take. Maybe the golf ball has more beef to it.
I always loved, designations of things for sizes. It's like he had roughly a cassava melon sized head.
Well, there is I think there is an official gauge,
Right.
and it is literally P half dollar. I don't know the official measuring stick of each of these, but yeah, that was.
It's just weird how we randomly switch from currency to sporting goods.
Well, I wonder on the scale which one is technically bigger, golf ball or silver dollar. Or
I imagine golf
size.
ball, but only slightly,
Yeah.
like only by a little bit. The thing that
Did
I
they
was,
say U.S. dollar? I mean, maybe it's in other countries. Maybe their dollar's smaller.
Maybe it's like a
They're half dollar,
half a euro, or was this done before the Eurification of
right.
Europe?
What if it's more
This is
Deutschmark
like drachma-sized hail.
This looks like some lira to me. That's lira size.
Right.
But regardless, we got a little.
Yeah.
And hockey. No one cares. But tonight, Caps.
Yeah, game one
of round 2 of their series. They're taking on the Carolina Hurricane. And this is what I love. This is what's making me happy. We are not favored to win this series. We are technically the higher seed, but we're not favored to win the series. Not only that, but I was seeing the Vegas odds of the 8 remaining teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we are at the bottom of the chances to win the Stanley Cup.
So
all that makes me happy.
This has to be more familiar territory for you, right? I mean, the tale of the underdog. That's always been the Redskins fan, the Washington football team fan of come from behind. Last season, I noticed it was very you were excited.
Yeah.
But you were pretty uncomfortable.
I love when people doubt things and then it comes to fruition.
You weren't ready for what happened last season, and I think that sort of set you up for excitement. But this is more familiar. It's got from the come from behind feeling.
Yeah. Well, and it's now this is where I'm at. No, we are not the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. Not even close. There are some really good teams in the playoff. That being said, we are not the worst.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, if they're all sleeping on us, we might just mess around and win this thing.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying. It's going to be this series that defines a lot. Carolina is good. They're a physical team. I know none of you care about this, but you have to play 60 minutes with this team. If you don't, they will beat you every time. If the Caps do that, then we're going on. Now, I will tell you this. These two teams do have a little bit of history. There is a little bad blood there. So sometimes stats and things, when you have that kind of thing going on, goes out the window.
Right.
Because, and they forget one thing, the Tom Wilson factor. The league's best agitator, the one who makes grown men cry, Tom Wilson.
Tom Wilson! And Doug.
I love that guy. And, yes, I'm excited. 5 o'clock tonight, so. Anyway,
nice.
Oh, by the way, Merrill's talking ECHL. This is it. Road. This the New Mexico or Rio Rancho, whatever they're going to be, in the ECHL when that starts up. They're going to be in the same league as this team.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Nice.
Yeah, pretty cool. So anyway, that's hockey talk for today.
There you go.
Let me give you the rundown for the rest of the show. Hockey talk brought to you by No One Cares, except me.
Hockey talk.
Well, and I think I've lost the other 7 hockey fans in town because I think all of them are Avalanche fans, and they lost to Dallas in 7 over the weekend.
Oh.
So maybe there's a few Stars fans. That's kind of close to you guys. You can root for the Stars.
Yeah.
They're the team in the green uniforms.
Well, and the Stars are the ones that are going to be responsible for the farming out the team that comes here.
They are allegedly, but no, according to the story, they are involved in the bringing of the ECHL team to Albuquerque. So pretty cool. But anyway, now I'm done hockey talk. Well, let me give you the rundown for today's show. Brought to you by No One Cares. We got Doug Weezer going to join us here in just a few minutes from the Walker Aviation Museum and give us an update on what's happening at the museum. We're going to keep the museum talk going in the 8 o'clock hour. We're going to have the folks in the Roswell Museum and Art Center join us. I know Caroline Brooks will be with us. I think a few others. I know they'll give us a status on what's going on with the museum, but they also have a fundraising event coming up at the Liberty on the 17th. If you're a fan of flamenco, they got a cool thing. We'll talk about that with them. and more in the 8 o'clock hour. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, about 9:15, Peggy Boland's going to join us to talk Astronomy Club. Now that the weather's getting nicer, I think they've got some events and get-togethers planned. And, of course, one of their big things they always do is they have a big event usually right before the Dragonfly Festival, like that Friday before. But that's kind of one of the things they're known for. But anyway, Peggy will join us and talk Astronomy Club in the 9 o'clock hour. Plus, we'll have all of your newses of the local and national variety, Wall Street business updates, and whatever else we can come up with for today's show. But first, your weather.
Weather this hour brought to you by Southwest Bearing under new ownership. Custom solutions for your heavy equipment. Hydraulic hoses, hose repair, bearings, seals, sprockets, belts, tools, fluids, and fittings.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We still could get a shower or two around the Roswell area today, but pretty much sunshine everywhere else. Will be in the low 70s and a little windy. A few gusts around 30 miles an hour with that low pressure system clearing out of our area. A few clouds overnight. Will be in the upper 40s to about 50. Slim chance of a shower or two on Wednesday, but we will have some sunshine, low 70s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 49 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is at 90%. Winds are calm at the moment. For today, we are looking at a 30% chance of some showers. They say the sweet spot, mainly between noon and 3 p.m. today. Mostly sunny, cooler 68 are expected high today with northwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, partly cloudy with an overnight low of 48 degrees. Winds out of the northwest 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wednesday, there is a 20% chance at afternoon showers. Otherwise, sunny for the day. Expect highs near 70 tomorrow. North winds 10 miles per hour. I'm not going to lie. I love this 68, 70 weather. This is spring. This is like really spring. This is what spring's supposed to be. We're actually having one. It's kind of nice. Wednesday night, partly cloudy. Overnight low of 48. Northeast winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Thursday, sunny, 74 for a high. North winds at around 5 miles per hour. Thursday night, mostly clear, overnight low of 51. Friday, sunny, 78 for a high. Let's see, for the weekend, they're talking sunny and 79 for Saturday. And then Sunday, sunny and 81. And really, in the forecast of right now, they're not talking anything about rain after Wednesday with that 20%. But that's right now, and it's also New Mexico, and they could probably tack on 10 more of those here by tomorrow. You don't like the New Mexico weather? Just wait, it changes. So, but anyway, that's what we got going on. It is 7:18. We're gonna get you into your Roswell Livestock Report recap with Smiley Wooten. Quick break, and then Doug Weezer will join us on the other side from the Walker Aviation Museum. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
Good morning. This is Smiley Wooten at the Roswell Livestock Auction. 1,144 head of cattle sold on Monday on a higher market with excellent buyer attendance compared to last week. Stocker calves sold 8 to $12 higher. Feeder steers steady. Heifer mates 3 to 5 higher. Packer cows and bulls steady to $2 higher. 3 to 400 pound steers $4.65 to $5.10. 3 to 400 pound heifers $4 $4.30. 4 to 500 pound steers $3.72 $4.65. 4 to 500 pound heifers $3.54 $4. 5 to 600 pound steers $3.36 $3.72. 5 to 600 pound heifers $3.22 $3.54. 6 700 pound steers $2.90 $3.36. 6 to 700 pound heifers $2.80 $3.22. 7 800 pound steers $2.87 to $2.90. 7 800 pound heifers $2.64 $2.80. Packer cows $1.45 to $1.60. Canner and cutter cows $1.38 $1.42. Packer bulls $1.75 $1.88. Feeder bulls $1.68 $1.73. The top half of the cow-calf pairs $3,000 to $3,550 per pair. Top half of the bred cows $2,700 to $3,350 per head. We do appreciate the business, and we'll talk to you next Monday morning. This is Smiley Wooten, Roswell Livestock Auction.
If you're missing a tooth or several teeth, a dental implant may be the ultimate solution. Implants look and feel so much like real teeth that you probably forget you have an implant. Maupin and Brown Dentistry is one of New Mexico's most experienced implant providers, with literally thousands of implant patients who are absolutely delighted with the results. Call Maupin and Brown today for an evaluation. You'll be surprised how affordable implants can be. Maupin and Brown, your choice for experienced, state-of-the-art dentistry.
In a medical emergency, every second counts. Artesia General Hospital's emergency department is open 24/7, staffed with highly trained professionals ready to provide life-saving care when you need it most. Don't wait. When minutes matter, trust Artesia General Hospital. Quality emergency care close to home. Learn more at artesiageneral.com.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. 1 in 3 snake bite victims is drunk. 1 in 5 is tattooed. Hold my beer and check this out. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 21 minutes after 7 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning from the Walker Aviation Museum, Doug Weiser back with us this morning. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good.
Everybody fared rode the storms okay today?
Rode the storms.
Good deal. That's the one thing. Every time we have nights like this, you always wake up in the morning. All right, how many texts, how many phone calls, how many fires need to be stomped out after the storm? But all seems to be pretty quiet.
It was good.
So,
everybody's buttoned up pretty tightly after this past year.
Of course, speaking of storms, like many places around here, the Walker Aviation Museum is a victim of the flooding and storms we had here last summer. And, of course, has been closed for the while.
Yes.
What's any updates on?
Still is. They got the walls pretty much done.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting on the carpet. That's the sticky wicket. It's been about
that's
6,
been
7
the
months.
crux in the delays here for about a couple months here is the flooring side of it.
It is.
Yeah.
It has been. And
is it just a supply and demand thing, pretty much?
Supposedly they, have gotten to the point where they're trying to pick the color of the
so
carpet.
This is a fashion decision.
Whoa.
Okay.
It's
this is people like, do you want blue or green? I want purple.
It's like, well, wait a minute. It sounds like once we pick a color, it's readily available.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I think maybe we ought to get on the stick on this one. Maybe someone walk in and say, all right, pick one and be done with it.
So somebody's got to step forward and pick a color.
Maybe we ought to vote. We'll start a Facebook poll. What color do you want the carpet to be at the airport?
Well, get her done. Get her done. It's where we're at. We felt like we have so much for students.
Sure.
There, STEM students, other students. It's just
and we got a busy time coming up here with the air races. I mean, this month they're going to start seeing the pilots coming in, and so yes, if there's anybody listening that can move the needle on these things, can we start moving that needle?
If you could pick a color, step forward.
That would be very agreeable with us. We're not that, just don't pick something weird that everyone's going, that's ugly. Pick something that everyone either not notices or says is pretty. Past that, don't go anything like, and remember we are Roswell, so maybe like pink flamingos or tropical, nothing that looks like that. Something that fits. Past that, we're all good, I think.
Pick an Air Force color.
There you go. Blue, gray, all these work.
It's fantastic.
Which one hides dirt best? Let's figure that one out. That's a good one, too.
That's a good recommendation.
But in the meantime, we do have the website, wafbmuseum.org. And although you can't sit in a flight simulator on the website, and you can't, see the things on the website, what you can see is a wealth of information about STEM careers, aviation careers. Pretty much, if there is a STEM-related career field within 100 miles of the museum, there is some information on it at the website. That's pretty much how it works.
There's 1,001 careers out there.
Yeah, and so I would invite families to kind of steer your kids to some of that stuff. Show them some of this stuff. Not all of it's aviation. So if they're thinking, well, if you want to, like oil field, if you want to know about some oil field STEM stuff, the Walker Aviation Museum website has a wealth of information about that stuff.
Very relevant. Very relevant on all those.
Absolutely. So please use this tool as a tool for your families, even though we can't come into the museum right now and have the conversations and see the cool things. You know what we can do, and this is another side effect of the museum not being open, is donations. A lot of people, because it's free to come to the museum, but a lot of times, you have your tip jar, so to speak.
It is.
And that does pay the bills for a lot of things at the museum, and that's an income that's been lost for almost a year now.
Yeah.
So if you are in the ability and want to support the museum, go to the website, make a donation. That helps, when it does open back up, to help, maintain everything. Cause it's not salaries. Every person's a volunteer. It's all going back into the museum, whether it's to build a new display case or whatever it's got to be done. That's what that money is used.
Yeah, it is. It's all donations are gladly accepted.
Yes.
Because we are a 501(c)(3). We thrive on those donations. Just before the flood in October, Roswell Ford made a great donation for our museum day.
Oh, nice.
That just helps out the youth of Roswell.
Absolutely.
Everybody travels around in museums, and we're one of them. I think there's 9 here in Roswell.
And look for it here in the coming months when they do Museum Day again. Hopefully, knocking on wood, we'll have some carpet by then.
Oh, we got to. We've got to. I was thinking on the way over here that we're very fortunate to be that, what you would call sort of the gem in the desert.
Absolutely.
That's why Roswell Air Races chose us to be the new home for the National Air Races.
Yeah.
And why? Because of Walker Air Force Base was here.
Sure.
The wide open skies,
the potential is here.
Runways.
Yeah, we're gonna have a workout this year getting this one pulled off. But it does set the table for the next thing, and this is the first of many of these, and the first of always has a few wrinkles, some more wrinkles than others.
Yes.
And yeah, we're gonna find some this year. Yeah. But you know what? That's all gonna be setting the table for better. And by next year, it's going to grow a little more. And after a few years of this under our belt, we're going to be a well-oiled machine, and it's going to come off aces every year. We are in the middle of the growing pains of that here. But it's also the most exciting time because, especially like when you look at the museum and with the air, and obviously, folks, there is a tie there: Walker Air Force Base Museum and the Reno Air Races,
yes,
or Roswell, or the
tie.
National Championship Air Races. I got to stop saying Reno Air Races. That's not the proper term. Yeah. The National Championship Air Races. There is a big connection there, and I have to be honest. I don't know the exact percentages, but I know a majority of those pilots and people involved are veterans of some way, shape, or form.
They are.
Yeah, and so there's a connection there. So they want to support and be a part of it. But really, and with the other plans and things that they're talking about with the Air Center, it's really an exciting time out there right now, and it's really cool that this museum is kind of right in the middle of this boom situation, and folks, now's the time to support it. Now's the time, because what's being planned out there and what's going on out there right now, I feel like the museum is like one of the hinges to kind of keep all that glue together, because it's the tie between all of this. At the end of the day,
it really is.
It's the one connection that has come with everything we're talking about, and so an opportunity to educate our kids, to reminisce, for nostalgia. That's what the museum is. It's all the above. It is this thing that we want to teach the kids and inspire them to be the next generation of engineers and pilots and everything else, mechanics. But at the same time, we want to honor the families, the people, and everybody that put their blood, sweat, and tears into this thing that we called Roswell Army Airfield, Walker Air Force Base, and for that matter, our missile silos and those early years of the nuke program and all that stuff. That's all very much the history and fabric of this community, and that's what this museum celebrates.
Yes, it does. And it's a part of the past, the present, and the future as far as that STEM training, flight simulators, different things like that. That there's something for everybody.
Yeah,
there.
And this is why I think this is I think if this keeps going and we keep supporting, we're not going to worry about carpet anymore because we're going to need our own shindig, our own place, our own something out there because it's going to warrant that.
Yeah.
But it starts by everyone coming and supporting now, by coming, make a donation, serving. They're always looking for volunteers, board members.
Yes.
We got some great people that serve, but some folks don't want to do this forever, and they've been doing it for a long time.
Oh, they have been.
And I hate to tell you, when it comes to retirees and stuff, grandkids will beat out volunteering every single time. I'm telling you right now, the opportunity with the grandkids or opportunity volunteering, we're going to take and that's the right answer, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, we need more folks. So if you love history or if you just love what's going on here, reach out to museums. Say, I'd love. Maybe I can serve as a docent a day or week or something when it opens back up. Or do you need board or you know what? I love archiving and stuff. Is there stuff in the museum I can get my hands on? You know, things like that. All of the above is yes.
It's all good stuff, and there's openings everywhere.
Yeah.
And all of what you were mentioning.
Yeah.
Volunteering 1 day a week, couple hours a day. We're open, a couple hours before the flights.
Yeah.
When we are open, once we get that color picked out for the carpet.
Yeah, once we get seal that in.
We'll be in good shape.
Gunmetal gray. Anyway, but here's too is the hours of which the museum are open are really based on the volunteers available. They would love to be open more than the flights get. I'm pretty sure they'd love to, whatever it is, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, someone walks in, that museum's open.
Yeah.
That would be the end game.
Yeah.
But you know what? That takes volunteers, and we need more of them. So if you like that too, do your part. Say, hey, I can serve a day each week in there to volunteer to serve. Let's start there. And then next thing you know, we're open more than 2-3 hours a day. We're open 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's the cool part.
Yeah, we'd love to be open for that Saturday flight.
Yeah.
We'd love to be open for that Sunday flight. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities there. There's supposed to be more flights during the air races.
Well, and I'm going to take a stab that our future will not only offer more flights, but more destinations. And I would even say, dare I say, maybe a second company, bringing in, airline company bringing in flights in and out. That's the future is what we're talking here. But all this means growth. All this means more people getting chances to see, hear, and experience what Walker Aviation Museum is all about.
Sounds like you're dreaming big.
Yeah, it is. The potential is so great out there.
It is.
And this is time for kind of prepare. Yes, we're still, semantically, we're talking about our carpet colors, and it's not open right now. That's a bummer for now, but we're talking big picture here. This museum's going to be, I believe, an integral part of the kind of facelift revolution that's going on out at the Air Center, right?
Yeah.
And that's the cool part. So get in on it now. And I'm going to say another thing. The air races and stuff, the museum's going to have a presence out there. They're going to have volunteers and things. If you're wanting an in to do it, but not wanting to pay and do all.
Yes.
Volunteers a good way to, there are perks to being a volunteer, just saying. And some of it is you probably get a lot of access to the air races and things like that you would have paid money to do otherwise or not at all been able to do. So.
Contact us. I mean, we've got the website. We've got a phone number. We're there. We're going to be there. We're part of it. And, the airport's part of it, too. And we're part of that.
Just a little bit.
Airfield, just a little bit. Yeah. So...
it's exciting. I know, yes, it's a bummer that we're dealing with this stuff right now, but in the big picture thing, there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. And to be honest, maybe good or bad, you could look at this as a blessing in disguise, as it really allows the museum to kind of focus, all right, let's turn our attention to what happens when these doors do open. And, of course, you are dealing with this, all right, we got to get this ready. But it gives a little time to say, all right, let's, when we do kind of put on our party dress and start this up again, it's going to be for a bigger party, and that's the cool part about it. And so now's the time. If you want to get in, if you're interested, reach out. Volunteers, donations. The more money you can support to this, we would appreciate. If you've got a passion for what Walker Aviation Museum, the history behind it, the mission statement of it, or let's face it, y'all, I'm telling you right now, y'all been watching the news like I have, and you're seeing all kinds of air traffic incidences almost on the weekly basis in some way, shape, or form. So very major to scary but minor and all kinds of stuff. there is one reason and one reason only this has happened. There's not enough in the industry.
Correct.
Not enough air traffic controllers, not enough mechanics, not enough pilots, not enough any of this stuff.
Everybody.
And they are really, and the people that are in there are they're newer, less experienced. COVID, we're still dealing with COVID on you know, in the air industry, a lot of the experience just retired.
They did.
And so, and they came back, and they're short-staffed pilots that, you know, had 20 plus years doing this. All of a sudden, they're gone, and now you got the guy that's really fresh out of flight school or wherever it is that's teaching, that's doing these flights. And guess what? We're seeing the results of that.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's going to admit it in the news. No one's going to, because that. But I'm telling you right now, you're seeing a lack of people in the industry to do that. And guess what? Walker Aviation Museum and other entities like it are on the forefront of correcting that. So at the bare minimum, if you just want to make sure that you get on a plane and it flies to where it's going and then lands on time, or dare I say your flight's not canceled or any of that stuff, how do you fix it? Support entities like the Walker Aviation Museum. That's and I know that's a stretch from one to the other, but that's what we're dealing with right now.
It's the truth. I mean, there's things that happen out there that you know, spark interest in aviation, whether it be pilots, private, airlines, you name it. That's how you get started.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
so
it's like when we were kids, like if y'all watched the movie Catch Me If You Can, if you ever seen that movie with Tom Hanks and what's his name? But anyway, where it's a real life story where Leo DiCaprio. But part of that movie is the guy fakes as an airline pilot to get, you know, himself. But the whole premise of his scheme works because back in the day, airline pilots were rock stars. Like they see him in the uniforms, and yes, the lady swooned, and everybody like, ooh, he's a pilot. And of course, they're important people. And I'm not saying we need that level, but it is devolved a little bit, that aura, and I think that aura carried the industry for a long time, and now that aura is not there, we're seeing some of the results. I mean, it's a cocktail of many things, but yeah, that's how it used to be. And we I'm not saying go back to that per se, where, you know, everyone's in the blue costumes and everything, like, ooh, you know, but there's got to be that desire and things like, man, you know, when the kid sees the pilot, it's like, oh, I want to be that person. You know, that's what we need to get back to again. And
they're still heroes.
Yeah,
I mean, look at Sully. I mean, the whole thing.
Sully is a great, you know, that was a great story, and I'm so glad that the Clint Eastwood movie is a great movie on there, but everything I've kind of read, they said, well, they didn't give Sully the hard time of which, you know, like they were like they had to create some drama for the movie, so they kind of made it a little more like you know, like they were raking Sully over the coals, and it's like it wasn't quite that antagonistic.
No,
but I get what they're saying. But you got to create a movie, and it's, you know, Eastwood's a master, you know, creating a story. But I do love that you know, that story's out there, and hopefully sparked some interest in things and seeing what because it's we need more of this. I'm just telling you right now, and the museum is part of the solution to that. So
yeah.
So when it does come, when we do pick some carpet and that thing, the doors are open,
it'll be Fast and Furious.
Yeah, we might have to do another like ribbon cut and bring it out like it's a whole new place again.
Gosh, you know, it's they'll tell us, hey, it's done.
Yeah,
get ready. There's a lot of things, a lot of displays, a lot of equipment needs to be dusted off, reconnected, replaced.
Is a lot of this stuff sitting in storage somewhere, just waiting for them to?
It's basically sitting in the museum.
Okay.
Covered.
Just under a bunch of.
You know, they had to move it quickly because of the flood and stuff like that, and they moved it around to repair the walls. So there's going to be some repair. There's going to be some volunteers needed to put things back in place.
Exactly. You know, this might be the time to volunteer. We can start the pull now. If we, you know, when it happens,
it's carefully, and
we'll hit the starting pistol when it does. But
we're recruiting people to do that kind of thing.
So now start the pull, and then when it's game on, it could be like gangbusters moving in, and you know, all hands on deck, and you get this thing turned around and opened in maybe a day or two.
Well, you're open tomorrow.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what you're going to tell you. You can open tomorrow. You're done,
and we're going to try to do that.
Do the thing.
How did did you lose anything as far as artifacts and stuff? I would imagine if there's books or paperwork, there might have been some of that, but
there was some damage.
Most of it was pretty much protected, or
how much?
Yeah.
But it all from appearances, it looks good. It looks good.
I can tell you right now, because some of the furniture in there is like old military desks and stuff.
It is.
You could drive a tank over that stuff. It ain't going to be just fine.
Yeah.
But I was worried about like books and paperwork and things like that.
Metal.
Yeah, those tanks, those desks, they are literal tanks. They're indestructible. They're not the prettiest. I mean, they're more built for function, not for beauty. But good luck with moving. That's the other thing too. They weigh about 1,000 pounds. So we need young, strong backs just to move those things. I mean. I'm sorry, guys our age will have a coronary moving that thing. You need strong.
Yeah, you do, and we've thought about that. We'll discuss that at our board meeting next, a week from today, actually. But a lot of it, we're gearing up for just that. Hey, you can move in, you can open tomorrow.
I feel like it's like Braveheart. Everyone's just going, hold. They're all waiting for the signal.
It's all there. It's been waiting, and
I know everyone on that board has been anxiously waiting because I'm sure it's every month. Come on. Because you've been hearing, you guys have been hearing one more month for about 6 months now, right?
Yeah, we have. I mean, and the museum is our raison d'etre. I mean, we live for that. That's what we have board meetings about.
Sure.
Is this museum, and there's not something that we go marching down in the South Quadrant somewhere.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
What's your passion? There's a reason why you're in the room because everyone volunteers and a part of it, and we have some great board members. But yes, we need more folks. We need more people to be involved, and the Walker Aviation Museum suffers from the same problem that everything else around here suffers from. Is we all have basically the same couple hundred people that do everything. So the people that serve on the board on the museum also serve on 12 other different organizations in various ways, shapes, or forms. So they're busy people too.
Yeah.
So if you want to get involved, maybe I always tell people, pick your one thing. Find the one thing that you really support, whether it's youth sports or whether it's your church or whether it's the Kiwanis or JCs or whatever out there. Or maybe it's a museum, this one, or the Roswell Museum, or the Historical Society. Pick your one passion and go volunteer at it.
Yeah.
Don't be crazy and do 12 of them like some of us do. But find that one. And if everybody in town just picked their one thing and volunteered, I'm guessing a lot of our nonprofits will probably be in much better shape as far as volunteers and bodies. And pick the one thing. And I'm telling you right now, if you love history, if you love military, if you love family, if you love everything at the museum, the Walker, if you love all that stuff, please come volunteer. You don't have to be some crotchety old retired military person to be a volunteer there. Anybody, youth, if you just have an interest and a love for it, we would love to have you in there. And I'm going to say, young folks, come on down. We might learn you something or two.
Yeah.
You might come and volunteer as of course it's, you're always building your college resumes and things like that. And these are very good things to do that. But the wealth of information and things that you can find out just even by volunteering, spending a couple hours working as a docent or helping clean up or do something, I'm just saying you might come out of there ready to be a pilot or something.
Yeah, just volunteer.
Yeah,
that's
you never know. That's it's and you know what? And I'm of course I got Doug here, so yes, please come But if that's not your passion, okay, find it. Whatever it is, go. Like I said, if maybe you love soccer and sport, okay, go work with the kids in soccer, be a coach or something like that, or whatever that is. Find the thing and make your community better. Because if you're waiting on other people, you're going to wait a while.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. It's the zoo. I know the zoo really needs help right now because the city can only do so much with what's going on, and money's tied up. And quite frankly, the zoo's the lower priority. So if you want to see a nice zoo and all that, you got to volunteer. You got to be with the people and get friends of the zoo and work with them. No different here. This is how we make a better community, by volunteering at organizations and getting involved and rolling up your sleeves and being a part of it.
Everybody needs them.
Yep.
And any organization is not going to say no to volunteers. I mean, we mentioned air races. They need volunteers.
Oh, yeah.
The museum needs volunteers.
Yeah.
Boy Scouts need volunteers.
Oh, yeah. Scouting, if that's your thing, I'm going to be. Matter of fact, later this week I think I got a couple dates of scouting later this week, so we're going to talk heavy scouts too.
First Tee needs volunteers.
Another great organization. If you love golf and working with children, First Tee's for you. They're building life lessons through golf, doing that stuff. And by the way, if you have little tiny golf clubs, they can use them because they got kids that are about to come up to your knee. They're ready to play golf, and they need clubs.
You can take your choice. You want to volunteer in a museum? Do that.
Yeah. Or if you got time for both, and do it. But
volunteer outside. If you want to volunteer for the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, just volunteer.
All of it's good stuff.
And the youth of Roswell, I mean, I feel is somehow underserved. It can never be overserved.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to invest in our youth, and the museum does. The other organizations do.
It's given a variety. Not every kid's going to be into sports. Not every kid's going to be into band. Not every kid's going to be into. But if we have a little bit of all that, okay, we got our history kids, and the people are flying. They love that. We got you covered.
Yeah.
Sports, there's plenty of opportunity. Or history buffs or whatever. There's Walker Aviation. There's the historical side. There's Roswell Museum and Art Center. Lots of different places. So it's kind of whatever flavor they like.
There's
got to be an opportunity for it.
Yeah, and definitely.
Yep. As far as the museum goes, when is your next board meeting? If anybody's interested in maybe involved,
it's going to be a week from tomorrow.
Okay.
We'd hope to have the next board meeting at the museum.
That was the plan, but
we have them at Assumption Church at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. at Assumption Church there. And if you're interested in getting more involved with the Walker Aviation, you're more than welcome to come to that meeting and sit in and listen and see. Imagine they'd love to have you and say, hey, what would you like to do?
The 13th of May, we'd love to have you.
Absolutely.
We're a great, very receptive group. We have great people. Robert Sherman does a wonderful job.
He's one of the stalwarts there.
Bob Donnell, Holly Bishop,
Juliana.
Yeah, you can't mention Walker without mentioning her name.
Yes.
And everybody else is that.
If there's a picture or anything digital related to the museum, Juliana's got her fingers all over it.
It's definitely a benefit to have her with one of our board members.
And we, of course, do invite people to go to wafbmuseum.org. That's and if you don't remember any of that, just Google Walker Air Force Base Museum, Roswell, New Mexico. It'll be the first thing that pops up on the search there. And then like and follow or bookmark it, but go there, check it out there. And like I said, start just going through the wealth and links of all the different jobs and STEM stuff and all that. But don't forget to hit that donate now button or if you want to shoot a message out, maybe you're like, I'm not ready to be a board member, but if you guys need help moving things, I'm good at that. Sign me up and give me a holler when you're ready.
Yeah.
But reach out that way. All of that would be great. And there is a perk to doing that kind of stuff. If you love history and love, because there's a lot of things that the museum has in its ownership that aren't on display in the museum technically. And as a volunteer, you get to peel through the boxes. You get to see the things that not necessarily the public sees all the time. Fortunately, we have a lot of things, but not enough room to put all the things on.
A lot of those models up and down the airport belong to the museum or on loan to the museum, and we maintain them.
Yeah.
So,
not to mention just the countless books and artifacts and things over the years that people have donated or were just here from, that's like every time, like over the years, Robert come in and he'll bring in like a book or something and things like that.
Yeah.
That is all stuff that, like, sometimes it's a family that came in to visit and there's like, this is my dad's baseball jacket, or this is my dad's book that was talking about the welcome book to the museum, to the base, and talked about all the different amenities the base had for folks to do when they're not working and things like that. That's the cool part of this museum to me, because yes, it celebrates the planes and the who, what, wheres, and wins, but it really celebrates. This is the NCO club's officer or the NCO baseball team that took first place this year. In the wing championship or whatever it is. That's that stuff too, and that celebration. And because Roswell was located where Roswell is, they had to have a lot of base activities and things to keep, young GIs occupied.
Oh,
So
it was a thriving community. When the base closed in '67, it was, it was a big hit.
Sure.
It was a big hit.
Oh, yeah.
Roswell survived. There's survivors, but, 15,000, aviators came through this. And we just, Robert and Juliana just came into a book that somebody who was trained here, did missions over Europe, and wrote a book about it.
Okay.
And I should say his father did, I guess.
So did he talk about his time at Roswell here?
Yeah, and
probably it was Roswell Army Airfield at that time.
Yes.
Or during World War II.
Yeah.
They didn't name it Walker till after.
Yeah, right. It was thriving. It was thriving, and so many people came through here.
That is so
now
cool.
fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, they came through here. So
and that's the
amazing.
fun part about being a docent. Like, especially during like the summer months when people are on vacation and things. A lot of times families will be on some kind of road trip, maybe, visiting, mom or dad's, history, and they spent time here, and they'll come, mom or dad was stationed here, or we as a family were here, and those stories happen on a weekly basis during the summer months.
They wander in and say, hey, I had a relative that spent time here.
Yeah, and that's that. And to me, that's the coolest part of the whole. I mean, yes, all this stuff's amazing, but there's something special about, like, is this the place where dad served, or this is, and they see that for the first time, and that's kind of, and especially as the other cool part, because it still kind of looks like a base. If you know exactly where the base started, and where even to this day, some decades later, we know exactly where the base started, because you can just look and tell. And for a lot of people, that's nostalgic too. And you come back, this is where the front gate was. You can easily tell,
Well, I didn't know that Sidney Gutierrez used to be the officers' club.
That was the old club.
I did not know that.
That's the cool part about that.
So many things about.
Yeah, the base itself. I mean, a lot of it looks. As far as some of the buildings and things, yes, obviously updated, modernized, and to some no.
There's a lot still left.
There's a lot of stuff that's still untouched out
utilized in other ways, and it's great.
Absolutely. But again, this is kind of part of the museum's history. If you want to get involved with it, this is all part of that, and we'd love to have you. Always looking for more stuff. If you want to be a docent, or I'd love to serve on the board, or you know what, I'm a handy guy. Let me help build shelves. Let me help organize some of the stuff. Let me help do all that. And like you said, even when it comes to move-in day here, whenever that happens, it's going to be an all hands on deck. If you'd like to be involved with that, it could be next week. It could be next month. Hopefully it's sooner than later, but it's whenever they pick carpet colors and actually lay the carpet.
We'll get on that.
Yeah, but stand by. Reach out and say we love to be on standby and get involved. And then certainly, if you are, like I said, if kids, things out there, families, in the meantime, wafbmuseum.org. Show these kids some of these videos. Show them some of the things that they have that are opportunities for them. And then when the museum does open, and they're like, okay, my kid wants to check out the simulator, wants to be a pilot. Let's start that process.
Cool.
And let's do that. And so, but spark the fire now. Build the kindling, get that together. So when we're ready to open up, you're ready to light that fire and inspire the kids here. Doug, I know I talked a lot. Was there anything that you wanted to mention that we didn't get to cover?
I was just, I ruminate a little bit about, Roswell and what Walker means to Roswell, and what. A lot of things are connected with the Walker Air Force Base and the museum. Not to mention, we already mentioned air races. Where did they, during the incident, UFO incident, where did they take all that information? Where did they take the so-called bodies, debris, so-called?
All the people that are investigating doing the work, guess where they were stationed?
They were stationed at Walker.
All the brass at Walker was heavily involved in that night.
Not to say we have to promote the UFO incident anymore, but we do. That's part of our.
Well, in the meantime, there's a lot of Walker history in the UFO Museum.
There is.
Yeah. So as a wet the beak a little bit, go there, lead them, and then when it does open, you can come back and learn the rest of the story.
Yeah, because if you walk into that museum, there's Walker all over it.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, if you walk into our museum, it's the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
the players are the same. The generals and things that were involved in the incident were also very much a part of the day-to-day operations of base. They were generals and colonels and things.
Right.
These are they run the base.
Yeah, and the air races came here because of Walker.
Absolutely,
because of the airfield.
Well, and here's
runways.
Those runways are very unique runways as far as that's the blessing here is because we were a bomber base and they had built huge runways because you literally had to get these planes with 7 engines on them but they need a mile of runway to get up in the air and all this other stuff, and so that's what's out here. And to this day, they don't build them like they used to. And so our runways and everything are, to this day, there's pilots that get certifications on our runways that you can't really get anywhere else. So the value of the to be honest, those runways have probably kept this place relevant for all these years because they're so unique. And now it's the blessing in disguise. The Reno Air Races are here because of stuff like that they have this ability. But and in case y'all ever noticed, did you ever notice whenever important people like the president roll into town, even when they're going to Carlsbad or places not here, guess where they're landing? Here. Because of those runways, because they can secure it in a way that they can't at other places. That's the gem that we have right here, all because they built a military base here.
Yeah. Entertainers that entertain up in Ruidoso and different places. Where do they fly into? They fly into Roswell.
Right here. So that's kind of what, that's what we got. And this is, it's a phoenix from the ashes and kind of thing, but we need to support it more. And now that it's blowing up out there, legitimately.
It is.
With the air races now to town here, we're going to see bigger things, and the museum is going to grow with all that, which means now's the time to get in on the ground floor. Come volunteer, come serve in any way that you would love to do. And if you're ready to see it and do all that, just be a little more patient. We're working on that one.
Yeah, we are. We definitely are.
Good deal, Doug. I'm sure you got about 10 fires to stomp out this morning as for your day job here. So,
My day job.
So probably ought to let you go do that. If anybody has any questions or information, of course, I always invite you, again, wafbmuseum.org is the website. The Walker Air Force Base Museum also has a Facebook page. Just type in Walker Air Force Base. It should pop right up. I highly recommend you like and follow that. That way, when the updates do come, you'll be one of the first to know there, too.
Yes.
And that's probably the best way to get a hold because it's not, the museum's closed. There's nobody answering a phone or nothing like that. So
correct.
Through Facebook or through the website is probably the best ways to get a hold. So good deal. Did we get it all, Doug?
I think we got it all.
Awesome. Well, thank you, sir. And
if not, we'll get it next month.
We'll do it next time. But thank you, and we'll see you here next month.
Okay.
And stay dry, cool, warm, or whatever's coming at us today.
Looks beautiful. Looks beautiful out there with your small window.
I'm just saying, it's spring. This is what spring looks like, folks. Like, I know we don't see it a lot, but other parts of the country, this is what they get, spring. Temps that have highs near 70, that's called spring.
Gorgeous. Beautiful weather.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, 7:57. Let's actually 7:58. Let's pause for news and maybe get sports in before more news. Don't go away.
Now for your Pecos Valley news updates, I'm Jared Sorello. The Chavez County Sheriff's Office posting deputies at various schools Monday that went on lockdown because of threats. A message on social media urged parents not to respond to the schools to pick up their kids. The sheriff later reported he had been advised the same type of threats had been made a few days prior to schools in other states. Just after noon, the lockdowns were lifted. Lots of residents around West Texas and eastern New Mexico reported feeling an earthquake Saturday night, part of a swarm of shakers that struck near the Texas and New Mexico border. The U.S. Geological Survey said this quake struck at about 8 p.m., 35 miles south of White City, New Mexico, basically between Midland and El Paso. The quake registered 5.3 magnitude. A total of 46, mostly small earthquakes, have been reported since early April in this area. You're up to date. I'm Jared Sorello.
It's time for the Chavez County Sports Report. We told you about baseball yesterday. Softball playoffs are starting this week, too. And Dexter has the #1 seed in Class 3A. The Demons have earned it. They're 23-2 on the season. And they'll be playing a game on Wednesday at home. They'll be hosting either Tula.
Anti-Semitism concerns stemming from pro-Palestinian protests on campus, as well as school policies that consider a student's race. The school said the letter reinforces demands which impose unprecedented and improper control over the university and makes new threats to illegally withhold funding for life-saving research.
The BBC's Carl Naisman. Canada's new Prime Minister will come calling on President Trump later this morning at the White House.
President Trump told reporters yesterday he wasn't sure why newly elected Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney was meeting with him today. He suggested that Carney may want to discuss a trade deal with the United States. During his successful campaign, Carney stood up to Donald Trump, vowing that Canada would never become America's 51st state.
And that's White House correspondent Craig Clugston. German lawmakers set to vote again on the next chancellor. This hours after Friedrich Merz failed to win the first round in Parliament. It was an historic defeat for the conservative leader. Defense Secretary Hegseth ordering the active duty military to shed 20% of its 4-star generals. Watching Wall Street this morning, stocks have been in the red so far. The Dow is down 304 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Here's
3 years ago,
message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Do you like pricking your fingers to test your blood sugar levels? No one does, but it's important to maintain your health. And now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you don't need to prick your fingers anymore. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now. And if you have Medicare or most major insurance coverage, you may be able to get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how to end the painful finger sticks and get your own continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
All 4 international airports around Moscow temporarily suspended flights earlier today, as Russia says its forces intercepted more than 100 Ukrainian drones.
The airports were temporarily closed. There were attacks through the night that forced the authorities to close a number of other airports across Russia, so in places like Kazan, Nizhny Novgorod, Volgograd. And the authorities say in total there were about 100 drones launched from Ukraine. So this is just 3 days ahead of the Victory Parade. The Victory Parade is an annual event, but this year in particular, President Putin is looking for a very grand, spectacular, inviting very senior dignitaries from other parts of the world.
The BBC's Danny Aberhart. The Iranian foreign minister has held talks with top Pakistani officials, trying to mediate in the escalation between India and Pakistan after last month's deadly attack on tourists in Kashmir. Townhall.com. Judges in several states may soon get a new tool to stop dangerous drivers from speeding again.
A device called Intelligent Speed Assistance prevents a car from accelerating far past the speed limit. Virginia this year became the first state to approve such a tool for reckless drivers. Similar measures are awaiting governors' signatures in Washington and Georgia. The Washington legislation was inspired by a Seattle crash in which a teenager traveling 112 miles an hour killed a woman and 3 children when he slammed into their minivan. He was sentenced to more than 17 years in prison. When he gets out on probation, he'll have to install the device. Keith Peters, Washington.
A German organization is painstakingly searching for fallen German soldiers in order to identify them and rebury them. 80 years after World War II, more than 2 million German soldiers still unaccounted for. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 2.
They call it the Deuce.
Of Mornings with Mike Winters, right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Tuesday.
Ah, yes. Yes, welcome to it.
Best thing about it, it's not Monday. It's Tuesday.
The truest of all the days, and it's very moist. Very moist.
Well, there is a dampness in the air.
Yeah.
We did get a night of rain, so that does create humidity.
A lot of pockets of puddles.
Yeah, we do have, according to the Weather Service, chances of like a 30% today and tomorrow, and then I think we're done for the next several days after that. But the cool part is it'll be cooler. Like we ain't seen an 8 until Sunday.
Nice.
It's 68 today.
Well, that's
70. But I mean 8 in the front.
You said we're not seeing
I meant
8
in the front.
I'm just saying it's if we're gonna go by semantics.
Well,
I'll see you in court.
Well, 80 will be Sunday.
Yes.
But the rest of the time 70s and 68 today.
Get out there and enjoy it. Get some yard work done. Get some. I'd say we're pretty much done with the freezing season. And
Yeah.
Planting is.
Well, we had the folks from Roswell Seed on
That's right.
yesterday, and
Yes.
and they gave the green light. All your spring planting for veggies and fruits and all that. Yes, we're in. If you're a Bermuda grass person, I think we're maybe a week out. Talk to Roswell Seed, but we're right on the cusp of start planting that Bermuda. If you're a Bermuda person,
nice.
So. But yes, tis the season for the planting and all that good stuff. And
there you go.
I know because we get from the extension office, you get the email from Drew every day about the soil temps, and they are in that planting temps now. They're all up. You know, that's what when they talk about the planting, it literally is Drew in the extension office. They take their soil temps every day, and when it hits a certain number. I think it's somewhere in the 50. I don't know the number. I'm not. There's a reason I'm a dumb DJ, not the extension office.
That's right. My degree is in optometry.
Right. But whatever that number is, that's what everyone's waiting for. And then he'll continue to do it afterwards. That yes, it is still. But they look for a pattern. It can go to that temp one day, but it's got to consistently be at that
stay there.
temp
Yeah.
For it to say, all right, checkered flag or green flag, let's race.
Green thumb flag.
Yeah. Oh, people are walking in.
I know. I hear.
I
hear doors opening and closing.
It's all stealthy and quiet.
I know.
Sometimes. But that's what happens. I like when I'm in this studio. Like I hear things, but I don't see things. So I'm kind of in the dark. So I'm always like, and then I'm busy doing a show, and I'm not wearing headphones, which I should be. But so I hear the things. And I'm like, what's going on? Are people here? I don't know.
Well, what's funny
what
is
do I do with my hand?
in the post-show realms of our office, pull back the curtain, Mike likes to turn the lights off.
I do.
So often when people come in throughout the day, I look like I'm the only one here. And since there's this wall here, Mike can just stay really quiet and just see what happens.
Well, and you got a window door and it's open, so and your door is proximity to the front door.
I'm just saying,
so they always see you.
In an active shooter situation, I really do feel like I've been put out in the bait spot.
Well, I will avenge your fury.
Thanks, Mike. If you hear blap, 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 avenge me, Mike.
I will.
All right.
I will avenge. I don't know what I'll grab.
That's right.
I'll avenge.
I've done that several times in the last month. I've just looked around like, if the apocalypse happened right now, what around me could I use to murder something?
Well, I'll tell you right now, there's a semi-working lava lamp that's heavier than all get out right here. And I might chuck that first.
I've got a dangerous situation in my glove box right now. Let me explain. So I go through these modes where I get, a bunch of like survivalist things. So a while back, I bought a knife on Temu. It was actually like part of a survival set, but it came with this knife.
Okay.
And the big feature of this knife is it's one of those you can flick open really easily.
Okay, like a butterfly knife
Not
or
a butterfly,
switchblade?
yeah, just like a regular lock blade, blade.
But it just happens to.
It's
well oiled
quick
to the
flick
blade.
of the wrist.
Yeah.
But here's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I got it on Temu. It's a good knife. I'm sure. I haven't really used it for anything yet.
As when I think of quality, I think of Temu.
Think of Temu. But everything with Temu has to have a butt, and I think this is the butt. It's so spring loaded that like you look at it wrong, it's just gonna flick open.
This is why things like switchblades are illegal for that very reason.
Right.
Because 9 times out of 10, you end up hurting yourself more than your intended whatever.
So I put it. I was trying to find a place that I could put it that it wouldn't, because if the kids, God forbid, got a hold of it and the puncher just even looked at it wrong, it would spring open.
Sure.
Who knows what's going to happen? So I put it in a place where nobody can really get to it, my glove box. But it took like 5 tries to get it to stay in there. I put it in, and it flung open.
Oh my God.
And like almost cut my hand.
Yeah, but
so I had to strategically, I was like, okay, I'm going to close it. I'm going to turn the blade around. So worst case scenario, the handle will hit me. And a couple more times that happened. And finally I got it put in a place where there's now something in front of it to block it in. And I gently closed my glove box. But I'm terrified if I get pulled over and like go for my license or my registration insurance, I'm just going to open it and like a can of nuts, a spring-loaded knife's just going to fly out of there.
There's so many places you get a good knife. Throw that garbage away.
Yeah. So I'm looking for a new knife. But I'm also my mother's son, and I can't just throw away something that's functional. So I'm at a real crossroads right now.
You know what? Do some whittling with it till it breaks, and then you got your thing, because it will break. I'm pretty sure. If it's that spring loaded, as soon as you try to apply any pressure on that blade, I think it's gonna fold like a cheap suit. That lock ain't locking nothing. I'm just telling you right.
Yeah, it's a little nerve wracking. I'm not gonna lie. So, end of the day, lesson learned: don't go buying your knives off Temu.
Well, as a guy that grew up in scouts and everything else, and I do pay a little bit more attention to knives because they are very useful tools, and people make good ones and people make bad ones. And I'm just saying, not trying to bag on all of Temu quality, but if you're buying things on Temu, don't expect quality.
I did think it was pretty funny. Their new
or Temu, or whatever they call themselves.
Temu.
I'm holding on to Temu, and I don't care.
It's fine. It's because we've grown up with Emu.
Yeah.
So
well, all the reporters and stuff say Temu.
You slap but that's you know what it is. That's the commercial. The Super Bowl commercial they aired, it was Temu.
Like they've been in the news lately because of the tariff stuff, and so then they also keep
and that's what I was going to mention
Temu.
Is it's kind of funny that I just got an email. Their new their new tactic is, get your order in as little as 6 days from our USA factories.
Yeah,
it's like
they had to build one.
Oh yeah, that was quick.
Yeah.
I wonder if they built it with Temu parts.
Well,
it's this big.
Yeah, that's what Trump's trying to do, is saying, oh, okay, bring it here, and then it won't be so bad. So
what's
now,
this? A tech center for ants?
So the tariffs have brought you Temu USA or Temu.
Temu USA, yeah. Yep, that was quick.
Boatloads of crap.
Quick acting, boys.
Right here. I really would like, because they literally can buy anything on Temu. I've seen the advertisements. You can buy tents, you can buy cars, you can buy buildings, you can buy anything on Temu.
Yep.
I would love to see, and I'm sure there's got to be a YouTube channel or a TikTok video out there somewhere.
Oh, there's several.
Where literally someone's whole entire life is Temu products.
So
I would like to see. I know there's some idiot that has done that for some kind of. I haven't looked for one, but I'm willing to bet there's somewhere out in the internet that
buddy,
exists.
I got your back. Because I actively don't watch shows. I spend most of my time existing on YouTube. You just find stuff.
Right.
I've seen several of these. There's a couple of different
right.
versions.
See, I said not only is there one, there's more than one.
There's ones where people will order the products and you know they set it up, and legitimately there's some homes that have been the prefab obviously, and they come in a box and you have to put it together. But once it gets put together, it's a tiny home, but it's legit. I mean, it's like it's got siding, it's got in some cases. Now, then there's other cases where, you go to order like a tent and it's like one of those, the big move right now is inflatable tents. There's a lot of there's a lot of tents out there that are like.
I mean, I love the theory, but if anybody's ever stayed the night in a tent and you've dealt with any weather, that inflatable tent's going to be your worst nightmare.
Well, the new design of inflatable tents is essentially the inflatable exoskeleton.
Okay.
And then the tent structure.
So it falls apart in less than a little longer before it falls apart.
Well, you say that. Now, I'm not talking about the Temu versions of these because some of those are. There's some sketch.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, REI or whomever. But yeah, anything coming out of Temu ain't going to last.
Because that's the other version of these videos is a lot of times they'll do like Temu versus Amazon, spending the same amount of money. The mindset being you can get more from Temu, but you're going to get better quality from Amazon. So which works out better in a survival situation?
Well, I will tell you, in survivalists, quality always beats quantity.
Yeah. I'm figuring that out as I kind of build out my bug out bag. I'm like, most of the good stuff I've gotten has been from Amazon, I'll be honest.
Quality always beats quantity when it because you are, let's just face it, if you're needing said bag, you're usually in an extreme situation. Is that the time you want the flashlight that craps out on you, or the thing that craps out on you?
If you are hanging from a rock wall with a piton hammered into, and the only reason I know the word piton is because of the movie Cliffhangers, but hanging from a piton and a carabiner, at that point, is the value of that equipment the most important thing? I don't think it is.
Right.
The lyrics to MacArthur Park are the most important thing.
Nailed it.
Remember that. Someone left my key.
As a guy that grew up in scouts and things, and quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Every single time.
I'll give you that.
Yep.
I'm hearing voices.
Yes, we have guests. Let me give you the rundown for this hour of the show. We'll get you update with the weather here in just a bit. Then we're going to have the folks from the Roswell Museum and Art Center, I believe it's the foundation, and I think Caroline as well from the museum. Give us an update on the Roswell Museum and Art Center, of course. But they've got, of course, a big fundraising event for the museum here at the Liberty on May 17th. Flamenco Fiesta, as they're raising money to get the museum repaired from the flood and all that stuff. So we'll talk about that with them here in just a bit. Of course, get an update on museum things. How the museum still has events and things, but unfortunately, they just can't do it at the museum, so they'll go to the library at other places.
Right.
So even though the museum in and of itself hasn't really been open, the museum has still been doing museum things. So, very good. But anyway, we'll talk about Flamenco Fiesta at the Liberty here with them and all that in just a bit. Before we do any of that, though, let's take a gander at your weather. Like I said, we do have rain chances today and tomorrow, but if you like spring, this is spring. This is what it feels like. Roswell's getting spring this week.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We still could get a shower or two around the Roswell area today, but pretty much sunshine everywhere else. Will be in the low 70s and a little windy. A few gusts around 30 miles an hour with that low pressure system clearing out of our area. A few clouds overnight. Will be in the upper 40s to about 50. Slim chance of a shower or two on Wednesday, but we will have some sunshine, low 70s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 52 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is at 86%. Winds are calm at the moment. Like Steve mentioned, there is a 30% chance we could see some rain today. They say the sweet spot for our rain chances is between noon and 3 p.m. today. Sunny and a high of only 68 today, so it's going to be cooler than we usually expect around this time of year. West winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tonight, looking at an overnight low of 48 degrees. Northwest winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. There is a 20% chance for afternoon showers tomorrow afternoon as well. Otherwise, sunny for your Wednesday with highs near 70. North winds at around 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy and an overnight low of 48. Northeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Thursday, sunny and 74. North winds at around 5 miles per hour. Friday, we're looking at sunny skies, 78 for a high there. And then for the weekend, mostly sunny, 79 on Saturday. And then we hit 80s on Sunday, sunny and 81 for Sunday. But then, if this holds true, we jump right back into it Monday of next week because it's mostly sunny, 88. We'll be pushing 90 for a high next Monday. So enjoy this week, 70s, 68 today. because it looks like we'll be back to more New Mexico temps that you're used to by Monday of next week. All right, it is 20 minutes after 8 o'clock. We're going to take a 2.5-minute break, and then we'll talk with the folks from the Roswell Museum and Art Center Foundation, talk about Flamenco Fiesta. That's up next. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
Hey, Roswell, during these unprecedented times when others are raising prices, Roswell Ford is lowering ours with employee pricing for everyone. So you pay what we pay. Only at Roswell Ford. Make no payments for 90 days. Upside down in your current vehicle and want out early? Roswell Ford can help you get out of your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, regardless of make, miles, or condition. So you can pay what we pay today with employee pricing to all customers on new Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs. And our aggressive finance team will push to approve your credit, even if it's less than perfect. Attention business owners, Roswell Ford has a great selection of commercial vehicles, and we have them for less. Plus, Roswell Ford offers mobile services, so our certified technicians will come to you and perform oil changes, tire rotations, batteries, recalls, and more. Contact us for details. For massive American-made savings and employee pricing for everyone, get on board at Roswell Ford, 821 North Main Street in beautiful Roswell. Call 575-623-3673 or online at roswellford.com. Interest accrues from date of sale on select vehicles. Trade balance refinanced to new loan subject to lender approval. Offers not combined. Expires in month's end.
On Friday, May 9th at 7 p.m., experience the Doo-Wop Project at the Spencer Theater for the Performing Arts. Trace the evolution of doo-wop with timeless tunes from legends like Frankie Valli, the Drifters, and the Del Vikings, as well as doo-wopified versions of modern favorites by Michael Jackson, Jason Mraz, and Maroon 5. Get your tickets online at spencertheater.com or call the box office at 575-336-4800. We'll see you at the Spencer.
The ultimate Wi-Fi experience is now available to you thanks to Smart Home Wi-Fi with Plateau. Get fiber-to-home technology 100 times faster than average household internet speed. Plateau has multiple plans and options to fit your family. With Fast, get true 100 megs per second download and upload speed. With Faster, get true 500 megs of download and upload speeds. And with Fastest, you get 1 gig. Learn more at plateautel.com. Get the speed you need with Plateau. Tried, true. Trusted.
Are you ready to succeed? At ENMU Roswell, they cater to your educational needs. Their dedicated facilities and faculties provide you with an exceptional learning experience. From academic programs to behavioral sciences, business, health education, or technical education, ENMU Roswell offers a wide variety of certifications and degree programs designed to take your education and experience to the next level. Register now on campus or online at roswell.enmu.edu. Eastern New Mexico University, Roswell. Success starts here.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Elephants use these skin folds on their bodies to crush mosquitoes. Mike Winters uses his to hide M&Ms. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 23 minutes after 8 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning, of course, from the Roswell Museum and Art Center. I'll see if I get this right. Caroline Brooks with the Roswell Museum. And then the Roswell Museum Foundation here. We have Rob Tynes, Regan Hardy, and Cindy Torres with us this morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Look at that, in unison.
I know.
Harmony.
We practiced.
Sure you want to start a quartet? How do y'all look in pinstripes with barbershop hats? And stuff? Maybe we can start.
We haven't tried it yet.
Very good. Well, folks, like we all know, unfortunately, the museum has been closed since the flooding here and everything. And like, unfortunately, I guess today just turned into closed museum day on the show. Not intentionally, because we had the Walker Aviation Museum on last hour, giving us an update in here, and they are still closed because of the flooding here. And unfortunately, the Roswell Museum and Art Center is going to have take a few things before we can open it back up here again. But that doesn't mean the museum's not busy and doing everything else. And, of course, you guys just had a big event at the library a few weeks ago. Where,
we did.
Where the museum still doing museum things, just not at the museum.
Right. And not quite as many, but we're trying.
Yeah, exactly. But the foundation here, we put together a fundraising event. And, again, we want to invite everyone out, enjoy a great night of entertainment, music, and, of course, food and fun at the Liberty and everything else. But we would love to pack the Liberty here on May 17th. If you're a fan of flamenco music, if you love the Spanish, that's the Spanish with the what do they call those? The
castanets.
Castanets. Thank you. It was like the clapper thingies, but the castanets.
That works too.
It is very historical, traditional Spanish. This is Spanish music. Flamenco has got that roots in history. Of course, it has crossed over into Latin America and these parts, but its roots are in Spain. And so there's going to be a great night of flamenco music and everything else, and this is to raise money here. But before we do that, kind of, give people the update on the museum. What are you guys dealing with right now on like, obviously it can't be open because of structural and other things, but kind of what physically are we dealing with the museum right now?
It's a slow recovery process.
Yeah.
As we talked about previously, we have half the collection was directly in the flood. And so we sent those things away to Chicago with the Conservation Center.
Can they restore a lot of that?
They can. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And we actually just had 4 of the conservators out to visit us this last week from Chicago to look at the items that were above the flood line that we kept here.
Okay.
And so those were less impacted, but still impacted. And
sure.
so
well, humidity
absolutely.
The friend of all this either, or too much or not enough.
Exactly. And so they were taking a look at things. They're going to put together a report for us, but there's some paintings that have some, what do they call the wooden bars? Now I'm forgetting my own collection. But the wood supports are bending a little bit. They're a little bit warped. So they might have to restretch some of the canvases.
Gotcha.
And just do some general cleaning as well. So
gotcha.
Stretcher bars, that's what they are. My goodness. My goodness.
Well, this is my lack of knowledge. I'm like, so it makes it to fit in the wood thing that goes
the wood thing that goes on there. Yeah, like the castanet clicky things. Yeah. But anyway, there's a lot of folks taking care of us, and it's going to take a few years to get the collection fully back.
As far as the actual building itself
the actual building,
how does that look? I mean, is it almost to normal again, or is it still 9 closed?
No, not really close. It's a slow process, and you throw in government support. We're working with FEMA as well, and there's a lot of red tape and hurdles that you have to go through.
Government support is code for it takes a lot longer.
It does.
There's a lot more hurdles and red tape to go through.
It does, but it's not a negative thing overall. I mean, we're happy that we'll be getting that support, but we're having to evaluate the building, get the appraisal value of it, figure out how much it'll cost to repair, and just get numbers together to start with, and it's going to take a few months more to get that.
Well, and this is the thing, and this is kind of the same case I've been making for, like the zoo, Walker Aviation Museum. The city of Roswell has bigger fish to fry.
It does, yeah.
This is the nature of the beast. Do we want to make sure this thing's fully funded as fast as humanly possible? Yes. However, the city can't be that person because they also got roads to fix. They got, I mean, there's so many other things that need attention, and they have a higher priority because, the museum is a very much important part of humans and what we are, and we cannot exist without them. But it doesn't flush toilets. It doesn't provide transportation to and fro. It doesn't provide food. You know what I mean? There's those entities.
And you don't want to rush it either.
Exactly.
It's a slow process. It's going to be a slow recovery process for the collection. It's going to be a slow recovery process for whatever building we're in. And it just takes time.
But my point is if you want to see the museums and the zoo and the things that are important to us, but aren't necessarily life and safety issue things per se. These are more quality life, not necessities in life per se. It's going to take we the people, the public, the
community's going to have to get involved.
We have to fill in this void.
Correct.
Right, Rob? I mean,
it takes a community effort to make and rebuild.
If you're waiting on a check from the city or the state or the feds, you're going to be waiting a while. In the meantime, what can we do to raise money and support? Get as much privately fixed as possible. So by you coming out and having fun on the 17th or making a donation to the Museum and Art Center, all of this is one step to getting us closer to opening the doors at museum and allowing folks to experience it the way they're supposed to.
And it's going to take multiple sources. So we will have support from the city. We will have support federally, et cetera.
But if you're waiting on the city to run the show and do the thing,
it's just not going to be enough.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to be enough.
It's not going to happen.
It's going to take multiple pots.
It always has been a community museum. Over the years, the community has supported it tremendously.
Sure. The city does what it can to logistically happen, but the content inside, the things that happen, that's all we, the community, have kind of fostered, supported, made that happen. And if you want to continue that, the public needs to get more involved. And yes, it literally does. Coming out, eating a bunch of food, enjoying some flamenco music, it starts right there.
Yeah, it makes it fun. It makes it fun, definitely.
It's the fact that we do 2 venues each year, a spring and a fall, and this year, our focus is really getting our board of directors and our foundation board to really support the museum this year because, a lot of the funding, like you said, is going to come from different entities.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're really just trying to get the community involved in this event. Come out, support us. There's various ways that you can contribute. And I'm sure Cindy and Caroline and Reagan can go over those. But really just getting the support from the community like we've always gotten is going to make an impact on where we move further forward with our goals of reopening within the future.
Absolutely. This is it's that thing. This is all community effort. It's our town. This is our investment in ourselves. And that's what really this is all about here. And so, and folks that have been born and raised here their whole life, I don't think you fully understand the uniqueness of where you live. As someone that I did not grow up here, I grew up East Coast. I grew up in a different world than out here. And a town of this size, 50,000. Now, granted, yes, it's Roswell, New Mexico. It's the biggest little town in the entire galaxy. Everybody and their uncle knows Roswell, New Mexico. But I'm telling you, there is no town of this size, which is really a small, we'll call it a medium town, 50 grand, in the scope of U.S. There is no town that has 8 museums, as many museums that we have, the amount of hospitals, 2, some are lucky to have 1, let alone 2 hospitals. I mean, our own airport. This is a city that is so different than typical cities of this size. We are literally a city that is the size of, Mayberry, but with the amenities of Dallas. If that, yes, I'm being a little exaggerating here, but that's kind of the comparison here. And so when events like this happen, it costs a lot of money and a lot of human power to get these things back right. And yes, the government entities, FEMA, their focus is different. Museums and things, yes. At the end of the day, some FEMA money will probably come to build the building and build the structure. But I'm telling you, every piece of art that's in there, every event that happens in there, every person that's in there, that has nothing to do with FEMA or city or any, that's all us.
And it's a connection.
Yeah.
A lot of us on the board, I know even our new executive director and our retiring executive director have really good ties because little pieces of the museum carry a little bit of history of our families. Some of us growing up and going there when we were little and now, serving on the board. What drew me there was my grandmother was painted by Peter Hurd when he was alive, when she was a little girl. So that brought me to really appreciate and understand Peter Hurd's work.
You realize this guy's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, he really is. He really is. And then, for us to have Georgia O'Keeffe, the Robert Goddard, we have a huge collection where normal-sized cities ours doesn't carry, what we have.
It's weird. To me, Roswell's this weird, and I know it's an analogy, but it's almost like Roswell's almost got like that weird, like we're this town in France where Beethoven, Mozart, and Bach hang out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really kind of Roswell in the art side of things. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it is, and so that's why it's so great to support that here. And before we talk about you two, let's talk about the 17th here. Again, we want to invite everyone to get tickets here for it's Flamenco Fiesta. It's going to be Saturday, May 17th. It's going to be at the Liberty, 6 to 10 p.m. They're on Virginia, if you're not familiar where the Liberty is. We ask and encourage you to get tickets now for the event. You can always go to thelibertyinc.com to get tickets for shows at the Liberty. Is there other ways that we can get tickets for this one too? Or,
we do have a website.
Okay.
And it is, I think it's just Google the name Flamingo Fiesta, and it should pull up.
Okay.
And you can buy tickets online. We also have some posters throughout town that have the QR code.
Good deal.
You can scan.
Yeah, I printed mine off the internet, so I just have a picture off
And
Facebook.
you can go to the Roswell Museum website on our events page. Is a link to where you can buy the tickets as well.
Very good. So now, is yours through the city?
It is.
If you go to roswell-nm.gov, and there'll be a tab for the museum.
There is that, and then there's also a shortcut, which is roswellmuseum.org.
Oh, that's way better.
Yeah.
See, like the library.
We purchased that a long time ago.
Well, and
we're like, it's a little easier than like 312/ blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Well, like the library. Like
Yes.
if you want to go to the library, you go, but there is an actual link, but it's like dot dash. Yeah, it's a bunch of stuff. And so I was like, just go to the city website. And
Yes, you can do that too.
But y'all have a direct link that's way more easy to remember.
Yeah.
Which not dash, 7, whatever. But anyway, get your tickets now. Events like this, don't wait till the door. It probably will be filled up. Delivery's an amazing venue, but it only holds so many people.
We do have limited seating.
Yes, seating is limited, so get your tickets in advance. It sure would make these folks here a lot happier. As a person that I know, when you plan events like this, you get really nervous because we're the land of mañana. No one buys tickets till like 2 days out from anything.
You're right.
They just don't. And so you're sweating bullets the whole time. Oh, and I'm sure delivery's like, you better sell more tickets. We got to get our. Yeah, I know the game. So make it a little easier for this side by as soon as you're done. If you're driving right now, wait to get your destination. But get online and get your tickets ordered here, and that way. All you got to do is come on out 17th and be ready for a night of fun.
And just a few shout outs for our entertainment. So Gustavo Pimentel is the guitarist.
Okay.
Yeah, and a very talented family. They're guitar makers out of Albuquerque. He's world renowned, really excellent guitar player. And then Asise Baella. I think that's right. That's the dance group. So they're going to be doing we have a dance group there.
Which rhymes with paella, which is my favorite Spanish meal.
I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And then Shane Hall is going to be leading our live auction.
And live auction and all that.
It's an auction without Shane.
Yeah.
It's
He's a talented guy.
It's like
the comedian.
Fingers without fingernails. But, and yes, and of course, they're going to have some great live. Is there silent auction too, or is it all live auction?
I think it's all live auction
all
this time.
Live auction this year.
Okay.
This year.
Do we want to tease some of the things that might be available for auction on the 17th? Any ones?
Some great items.
Okay.
Thanks to the community and their donations.
Yes.
And we got some really unique items this year. We'll have some appetizers.
Okay.
Liberty's created 3 special drinks for us for the night.
Nice.
So
are they flamenco infused or inspired drinks?
Inspired.
There's a
to the cuisine.
Blackberry mojito, Havana.
So I'm guessing it'd be like Spanish cuisine. That would be drinks that would be
a Cuban pork loin. They're doing the Liberty's doing a really great job of putting the menu together for us.
Nice. So yeah,
don't want to share too much. You got to come get the tickets to taste the goods.
Liberty always does great food, and they make it pretty easy. I mean, you get there, they give you the menu, you really do it with your phone, and next thing you know, you're sitting there watching the concert, and someone shows up with a plate of food all of a sudden. It's pretty nice.
It's amazing. Food, entertainment, it's perfect.
We do also have corporate sponsorships available.
Okay. So if you like
if you want a reserved table,
they make great gifts for your employees. Treat them to a night of dinner and flamenco music.
and then they have a reserved table and come and enjoy the event.
Well, the decor will reflect the evening flamenco style decor. We're encouraging everyone to sort of come dressed, in some kind of flamenco style look.
We might need more room because those dresses get big.
Yeah.
So we might need to spread out a little bit.
We'll bring the clappers with us.
Castanets.
That's right. Now I got to know, what's male attire for an event like that? Because I'm thinking like Spanish bullfighter, but that's probably not the way to go.
You could. We're doing a lot of, I think, the color scheme that we've got on our invites are red and black.
Okay.
And this
So
color
go red
scheme
and
is
black.
black. Yeah, black, red, and yellow. So, they want something that looks Havana style.
There you go.
Flamenco, black.
You can't go wrong with that, that Caribbean kind of the
Havana look.
The button-up flowy shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe button it down to here to show the hair, the Magnum PI situation. and then those pants that are almost like khakis, but way looser and usually drawstringed and are kind of straight-legged out.
That's
that
what
would
I'm
be
wearing.
perfect.
You must have been in my closet looking through my stuff.
There may be some, I don't know, some kind of loafer.
Yeah.
Or sandal.
Chunkless.
Yeah, there you go.
Or you could go the opposite end and a really classy suit.
Yeah.
So,
Or do none of that and come as you are. It's entirely
Absolutely.
Exactly.
It's not a required dress code.
Exactly. That's the thing. We want you to come enjoy it. So mark it on your calendars. Saturday, May 17th. The doors are open at 6 here. I'm going to take a stab shows and everything probably start around 7 or so. And then dinner and all that. You'll be done about 10 o'clock there. And, of course, we do ask that you bid extra generously on the live auctions. The idea is for you to pay way more than it's worth.
Right.
Because all this money is going right back to making sure that your kids have a museum to go to here down the road. That's what it's all about. So, that being said, there are some changes on the afoot here with the museum here. Caroline, you're kind of...
Well, so
It's not Caroline.
Yeah, so Cindy Torres, our executive director since
Yeah.
2008.
2008.
Yes, is retiring.
You're saying
I'm
I'm out.
retiring as
You're doing
of June 30th.
Yeah.
It's hard to leave the museum currently with so much up in the air.
Are you moving out of the
still,
area?
but no, I'm not
Then you're
moving
gonna
out
be
the,
right
out of
back
the
in there.
area.
You're
Oh,
just
yes.
gonna have
We'll
a
drag
title.
her in. You're absolutely right.
Well, we've got her number.
Like I was saying, you're just taking the title. You're not going
Yeah.
anywhere.
But
I guarantee you're going to be in that room probably just. But now you get to be the peanut gallery, which is even better.
There
That's
you go.
way better because now you can just sit back and, well, yeah, I had to do it this way.
I
She
would
won't
never
do
do
that.
that.
But yes, you are retiring
But yes,
here.
it's just time. It's my time. It's my
And-
time to retire and enjoy life.
And now you get to.
And turn the reins over to someone much younger and full of energy and ready to go.
Ready to go. And,
And that
so
would be Reagan Hardy.
You're taking over here.
Yes,
That's-
sir. I will be the new director of the foundation.
So
Big
remember we
shoes to
said we're
fill.
going to learn your story? Now's
Yes.
the time. Tell us about you. Where'd you come from? How did you come to be here?
So I'm coming from the athletic world. So
Okay.
I have been in the athletic department at Eastern New Mexico University for
Okay.
the past 4 or so
What's
years.
your sports of choice?
Well, I was the finance woman there. So
Okay.
I was the business coordinator.
But did you play sports?
Yes, I was a cheerleader my whole life,
Okay.
and then I coached the cheer team there.
Okay.
My
Which,
whole time.
if that'll put you in shape. I don't care what anybody says. You ever watch a cheer? I'm tired of looking at them.
It's tiring.
Physical. Yeah, I mean, so I ain't gonna lie. I think not all sports, but I would argue some basketball and baseball players are sitting on their duff a lot more than the cheerleaders are. I'm just saying, maybe not the football guys or the soccer people, but them baseball especially, they're working half as hard as the cheerleaders. Sorry, I'm all sidetracked. But go ahead.
But now she switched gears and is going to cheer on the foundation. So support us.
Now your cheer. What's the thing called that they talk into?
Your
Rob?
megaphone.
Megaphone. There we
She's gonna show us
go.
her spirit fingers.
Yeah,
Yes.
Rob's my official. What is that thing called again?
Walking dictionary.
But but now you're using your megaphone for the museum.
Yes,
too.
I'm officially retiring the pom poms.
Good deal.
Gonna go for all of the art things.
Excellent.
Not sure what yet, but we'll figure it out.
And you kind of hit at a unique time because
Mm-hmm.
you're a museum without a museum director kind of thing. You know, it's kind of a deal going on here. But that's going to be cool too because I imagine you're busy doing it, but fresh eyes means sometimes she's
Fresh
probably
eyes, exactly.
Fresh perspective.
Sometimes you
Yeah.
get too close to the thing after doing it for so long.
There's going to be a lot of fundraising needed.
Yeah.
And capital campaigns and whatnot, and I think she's the right person for the job.
Just
Take us
just
to the future.
to give perspective, like you're saying with fundraising, let's just realistically give people, if there was a dollar amount you could say right now that would take to make the museum open again, what's that number or ballpark that we're talking about?
A lot.
Yeah, I mean, millions.
Yes, it'll be millions.
like 10, 2.
It's hard to put a number to it just yet,
Okay.
and that's
I'm
kind
just
of
trying to get perspective
that
there.
Are you
process.
asking to write a check for us? Are
Well,
you gonna give
I'm
us a
trying to
check?
get perspective because you know how people.
It's going to be millions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people are, what do we, is it like a couple 100,000? Are we
No.
talking millions?
Yes.
Because, I know the damage is extensive.
It's
but
extensive.
I don't know what I'm looking at as much as most people.
And
do.
costs
I'm
have gone up too, right?
Exactly. Everything's
So-
more expensive. So I'm just
absolutely.
kind of, and to be honest, the longer we delay, the more expensive it's going to get.
Correct.
The longer there's delays on getting the renovation stuff, the more costly it's going to be. So you get a quote, you wait a year, and that quote's double.
But it's still going to be a process, though.
Yeah.
It's something that we unfortunately can't rush. And
Yeah.
part of it, we do expect or hope to get,
In the meantime, we got to raise the money.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
This is
So
why
we got to start somewhere.
We're asking everyone to come out and overbid on a live auction and enjoy some delicious food from the Liberty and enjoy a great night of flamenco music. Like you said, you are getting treated to some of the best of what it is. I mean, yes, flamenco music isn't on every radio station dial you turn on to, but you're getting to hear the people that there's probably not many people on the planet better than they are at doing flamenco music.
Absolutely.
And if you've never seen it live, it's way different than just watching a video. It's kind of like folklorico, that same mindset to me, where it's steeped in tradition and history. Of course, it's pageantry out the yin yang. I mean, the colors, the excitement, the energy. Folklorico and flamenco share that energy, I think. Obviously, the dances are different and way different, and the styles and what they mean are different. But it's kind of the same id. It's steeped in history, steeped in tradition, but it's all about the pageantry, the look, the feel. It's flamenco music is an energy more than it is a style of music, if that makes much like folklorico. Like you can almost not do flamenco without the rest of it. You know what I mean? Like same with folklorico. You can listen to folklorico, but it ain't the same unless you got the dancing, and every flamenco's the same way. You got to see it live. You can't just be chilling in your car listening to it on your MP3 player or whatever. It don't work that way. You got to be there. You got to kind of experience all the facets.
You feel it. You feel the
Yeah.
music. Yeah.
And that's why. And then once you see that, then you get flamenco music. If you just listen to it on a radio or a TikTok video or whatever, it doesn't resonate.
It's like going to the symphony. It's like so different.
Yeah, exactly. It's that you experience the passion and the emotion behind it there while you're gnawing on a delicious Cuban sandwich. But so where are you from? Are you from this area or?
I grew up in Carlsbad.
Okay.
So not too far. My mom grew up here. My grandparents and aunts
So you
and
got
uncles and
family
everything.
here, and
Yes,
so they're all
they've
happy.
been here forever. Yes.
They're all like,
my
oh,
parents,
he's coming to town.
Yes,
Yeah.
my parents have lived here. They moved back about 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
So they're very excited to have me back.
So you got the whole family ready locked, which probably makes this transition way easier
Yes,
for you.
yes, sir.
Sure makes it a lot easier to find a new house when you can stay at your family's house as
Exactly.
opposed to a hotel.
When your
or
new house is your parents' house.
By the way, housing is a little weird right now with flooding and everything else, so that's another wrinkle that makes it a lot easier when mom and dad are
Exactly.
here. That's awesome.
Yeah, they've made it a really smooth transition.
So how did the passion from sports to art did you always have an art passion, or did it kind of evolve here as you're getting older?
So I will say full disclosure, I am the most uncreative, unartistic woman, but I appreciate it.
Gotcha.
I appreciate that other people can do that.
Like you can't do the art, but you can promote the art.
Yes.
Gotcha. Which is what you need and what you do.
Yes.
I ain't making paintings. I just tell people to check them out.
Exactly. And I will look at them and I'll admire them. But same with Rob. I grew up going
Sure.
to the museum with my grandmother when I
Gotcha.
was little. So that kind of.
You kind of gotta know stuff because in the person in your position, people are gonna ask you questions.
Well, she'll say, go talk to Aaron or go talk to Caroline at the museum. They have all the answers about the art.
That's kind of I deal with that same thing in radio. You do because they think I know everything, and if I either gotta BS my way through it or tell them I just don't know, man. You gotta ask somebody else. That's how.
And that's okay. But everyone can have an opinion too, and that's cool.
But you're in a position now where they don't expect you to know things. You're like, how am I supposed to know that one? You know what I mean?
It's a stretchy thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure you dealt with that for a long time, right?
She will learn. She
Yes.
will learn quickly.
Yes, we're taking it one day at a time,
Sure.
learning everything I can at once, but I'll probably revert them back to the professionals for a while.
Well, and that's the cool part is you're learning it too, and it's because I'm going to take a stab is here in a year or two from now you're going to be certain things you'll be like, oh, that was so cool, and it's going to make it the best, but there's going to be one or two like that was a dud, that didn't work out so good, or that I thought that would work out different. And you'll run into those moments too. So
Definitely.
So I guess is this the Flamenco Fiesta kind of your official first?
Yes.
This is a Reagan show here
This
right
is
now.
the first. Well, I would not say it's a Reagan show. It is definitely all the works of these great
Sure.
people, but it's my first event with the foundation.
Put it this
so.
way: if it goes well, you get all the credit. If it doesn't, you're going to be in trouble. I'm just kidding. No, but this is like kind of your first. I'm taking, I'm in charge here. This is the one.
This will be her first fundraiser.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is your first one, so
we're,
this is going to be a good one.
We're truly blessed with a great board of directors. We have about 20 board of directors, and it's a group effort.
Well, that's the
everybody
wisdom.
has
Yeah.
to place their roles.
And if a board works well, you kind of have people of different backgrounds and interests and wisdoms and things. So I'm going to take a stab.
Lots
You got-
of creative ideas.
On that
Yes,
board, you have
we
some
do.
people that are more of the legal minds, and then you have some more of the creative types, and then you got some that are kind of in the middle. They're the good at keeping the creative types from getting mad at the legal types, and vice versa.
You got this all figured out.
Yeah.
Good job.
Exactly.
I've been in a board meeting or two.
We have a great board. I've always said that I have 20 bosses, but they're the best bosses I could have.
Well, and those are the best ones. Like I've been on both sides. I've been on great boards and I've been on really not bad boards. And there is a huge difference when you have an executive director that is active and does things, but when you have a board that does more than go to a meeting once a month, that makes it so much easier. And I've been on both where people like, hey, just show up once a month, sit here for an hour, and then go home. You're going to have to do more things in an hour meeting. We're going to need you here on the weekend manning a booth. We're going to need you here on the weekend, taking tickets, whatever that is. And it sounds like that this board has a bunch of folks of the latter, not
We do.
former.
Cindy and I were just talking about how great our board is and how strong they all commit to seeing results. Not only do we have a great board, but we also have a good board of trustees. So all the way around, definitely with Reagan coming in new, there's going to be a lot of support for her to make sure that she succeeds because she's determined, and that's what it takes, determination.
Sure. And here's the thing, too, that people don't realize is, yes, this is the Roswell Museum, and yes, it's our town and our little thing, but the art and the things of which are in its trust are not little things. These are multi-million-dollar, in some cases, pieces of art, things that have incredible value, incredible responsibility, incredible. If something goes missing, someone's going to have a thing about this. And so that's kind of the weird juxtaposition that is your board, where it's, yes, we're a local small town board and this and that. Everybody knows everybody, and we're just trying to make the town better. But the works in which you're dealing with, the things and are on a much bigger scale on an international level here.
Yeah.
So,
and we have an amazing staff that also cares for the objects too.
It kind of by nature forces you guys to, yes, we're fun and loose and family, but there is a line that it's got to be done this way and no other way because of what we're dealing with.
Yeah, we just want to see the tradition of the Roswell Museum
Yeah.
move forward, grow, expand, succeed, and
it's our
generations to admire what we've got to, admire growing up through.
Well, and I look at things like, the city, the government, all that's our brains, that's our whatever, but the zoo, the museums, the ballparks, the parks, all these, that's our heart. That's our love. That's our community. That's us. That's our personality. That's what we are. And we are this place of 50,000 that has arguably more art and more culture per capita than some cities 4 times our size. And all of us are proud of that. So all of us need to take our part into securing that that's the case long after we're gone and our kids are here doing stuff. And that's what this is about. So yes, come out and eat a bunch of food and play and enjoy the flamenco music. But I'm asking, get more involved. If I'm sure every person in this room would said, yeah, we would love to have you sit on our board or have you, service a volunteer at various events, whether it's setting up chairs and tables or handing out flyers at the mall or something, whatever, or something in between, whatever is needed. There's always looking for volunteers, and you don't. And again, like Regan was, you don't have to know art. You don't have to know. If you just have a passion for the community and a thing, the rest will kind of work itself out. Next thing you know, you're an art expert. You're like, if you're like me and you're like, I know that Van Gogh thing because they talk about him all the time. But past that, I'm pretty, pretty naive. I got your Picasso, I got your Michelangelo, and I got your Van Gogh. But past that, I'm a little rubish. That stuff will come out later here and all that good stuff. By the way, and you were mentioning Peter Hurd and all that, and you were talking about the conservators and talking about that. And one of the coolest experiences I ever got to really be a part of was when they brought that Peter Hurd to the museum and art, to the not museum, to the library in Artesia. That used to be a wall in a building in Houston, and they literally when they tore the building down, they protected the wall. That wall sat in a warehouse somewhere in Texas for years, and basically I think they bought it for $1 or something, and so they pretty much gave the painting away or the wall away.
They saved it. They saved it.
And then there was this monumental $1 million process to get that wall in Texas to sitting in the library there in Artesia. And we got to film it, and they literally craned it in. They pulled the ceiling back and they craned it in, and then and then it's at. But there was a little bit of, I think, like when they put like this sarcophagus thing around it to protect it when they were putting it in the museum, and when they were removing that protection, I think because they had to weld to get it open. I mean, it's not just some snaps on your suitcase. It was a little bit more than that. And to get that done, they kind of burnt some of the corners and things, and so even they got it in place, but the conservators, and that's where kind of when you're talking about, because I never heard that term more in my life till that time.
They can work magic.
Yeah, and they literally would come in, and it's almost like army ants. They just come in, and it's like, and they do their thing. And it is really cool to see it on that. So if you ever get a chance, we don't have a museum here, but if you need a hankering from some Peter Hurd, go on down to that library and check that. It's really the length of it. You can't miss it. It's the focus of the library.
And we're hoping on documenting some of the process too. Yeah. And we've talked to the conservators about it. Like, it's important to see how these things are going to come back, like what the process is, and for people to get an understanding of that.
And so that would be kind of, I almost hope that, like, when the museum does open again, that maybe not all of the art is quite ready for prime time.
It may not be, yeah.
But we get to watch it come to prime time together. Like, some of my coolest experiences, like, again, this is where I'm lucky. I grew up in D.C. I literally live near the Smithsonian museums. I've been to all of them, the Natural, American. I've been to them 100 times. But one of the times when I was there at the American History Museum, they were in the process of restoring the Star-Spangled Banner, the flag that flew over Fort McHenry. And rather than take it off display, they made the restoration process part of the exhibit. So instead of it hanging on where it was normally at, they literally made a wing in the museum. It was laying flat in, of course, the dark lights and all the things they do. And then they had the conservators, like, on these crazy, like, beds that they were laying on, and they were laying, like, literally laying flat, like 6-8 inches above the thing, and they're picking out threads and doing whatever. But we, the public, it was sealed. They were sealed in their little bubble, but we got to walk around and watch them conserving. And I'm thinking, maybe that's something where we, maybe we don't interact or anything, but maybe we get to watch them in action as the museum's open, and they're literally sitting in a room, and we're seeing them, fixing these paintings that took some of it. Because to me, that was just as fascinating as the actual art on the wall as watching these folks work. So maybe, just maybe when that comes in, all, the possibilities are endless here. But this is the kind of stuff I hope we get to look forward to down the road here. And it all starts with you guys coming out here to Liberty on the 17th. That's the process here. And I'm going to take a stab, Reagan, that there's more of these to come.
Yes, sir. You're correct.
And I'm going to take a stab if you want to get involved in helping plan more of these to come. Getting hold of Reagan right now, and where do you sit there? Like, obviously the museum's not the place you can hang out. Like, where?
Well, the foundation has always had a separate office.
Okay.
We're a separate corporation.
Okay. I didn't know you guys had a separate office.
Their fundraising.
Okay. So I didn't know where. Like, if people want to come by and see you, where do they do that?
We're located at 400 North Pennsylvania.
Okay.
For Penn Plaza.
Penn Plaza building.
The Penn Plaza building on the second floor.
Oh, good.
Suite
now you get. You never had an excuse to go in there. It's a really nice building. Go in there and check it out.
Yeah, yeah. So the foundation office is there.
Okay.
Has been. Since before I came on board, probably 2006, 2007.
So it's been a minute.
Yeah, so it's been a minute.
So come by there, and that's where Reagan's
come by there.
doing her day job. So
or if you want tickets and you don't want to go online and buy them, you can call the foundation office.
And
Number 627-0918.
We'll have someone ready there and available.
We'll be there. Reagan and I will be there.
And,
we'll help
and
you
of
out.
course, don't forget, stay on all the social medias of the Roswell Museum and Art Center. Of course, they got the Facebook page and all the. What other social medias you guys do? I know Instagram is the other one. Yeah, I know there's so many. So I'm like, which ones you guys do again? And but stay abreast on all those, because anytime there's more events like this, or if there's a family event at the library or something similar going on.
Second Saturday is this
Saturday.
Saturday.
The second Saturday. That's where you're going to find out about that kind of stuff. So yes. We can't walk into the museum. We can't smell the smells and see the things and do all the things. But it is still much a very living thing, and is still an active part of our community, even though the building isn't quite ready for prime time here yet. So. Good deal. Come out. Again, get your tickets. The Liberty Inc. is a way to get tickets. You can go to the Roswell Museum and Art Center's website there. Shoot a message on the Facebook. I guarantee someone will get you tickets.
We all board members all have tickets. So.
There you go. So accost Rob Times wherever you see him.
Yeah, that's right.
I wouldn't do that. We do have tickets.
And purchase tickets
Yeah,
from
and
him.
purchase the tickets. Yeah, Donna cost.
Cost him with friendliness.
Yes.
Yeah. He likes. What's your sweet tooth? Sweet. If you're trying to butter you up, what's the key to your heart? Some kind of chocolate, certain coffee. What's our jam here?
Gift cards.
All right. Just saying, if you need to butter them up.
Yeah.
If you got a special request for tickets.
Yeah.
What are ticket costs and everything? I don't think we covered that, did we? We got to talking about the event.
The tickets are $150.
Okay.
And that includes a drink ticket. Sponsorship levels are $1,500 for 10 tickets, $1,200 for 8, $600 for 4.
Very good.
And again, they come with reserved tables.
And again, the whole point of this whole thing is we're trying to get the museum back to its
the idea of
new
Canada.
glory. I say former glory now. We're going with new glory.
New glory.
And
making a
it
deal on
starts
the issue
by
with Carney, not so much.
So please,
saying the military
get your
needs
tickets,
less
pay
generals and
extra.
more GIs.
You know, if you
Defense
can afford the
Secretary
higher
Hunt said,
packages,
ordering the
it would be
active
very
duty
great,
military to cut
because you are really
20%
investing back.
of its 4-star generals.
Think of,
like
because I know some
cuts
people,
at the
whoa,
National Guard.
you get it, but it's a fundraising event. This is investment back in our community. This, at the end of the day, it's not about paella and flamencos. It's about the museum. So yes, we're paying, you know, we're trying to gather money, and we're saying, hey, thank you for supporting us. By the way, have a dinner and a beautiful night of music
back to where they came from.
That's what this is about. This is all the fun part. At the end of the day, is we're trying to make sure that your kids and your grandkids have a museum that they can do the exact same stuff or more than you do when you're here. By 3 GOP we want it bigger and better. Who knows?
From
Maybe
Idaho,
the
Kansas,
next
and
iteration
Missouri is
of it
seeking
is,
to cut off
you know, what it
telehealth
could be
access
bigger,
to the
bolder.
abortion
That's
medication
kind of where we're kind
It's
of
an
exciting
opportunity,
time.
right?
It's like,
Yeah.
yes, we are.
It's a clean slate.
Yeah, we're kind of overwhelmed with we've lost everything, but when you get a chance to start over, you're like, what can I fix that I didn't like last time?
And we kept the important stuff, right? So we're going to save the collection. We're going to save the art. The building's just a shell, you know, so we'll figure that part out.
Well, and that's the part that, and this is why museums and things like that are great. It's like, we are here on a finite amount of time on this earth. It's just that's the truth. We are all here. But what is the things that
Financing a home, especially today's market, is one of the biggest decisions you'll make for your family. Work with a
These are the
mortgage company
places
that
we
puts
know
you
where we
first.
came from
I
and
do.
how and where
Work
we're
with a lender
going, to be
founded on
honest.
biblical
And
principles
so
like do unto
you got to
others
support all
as you'd
that.
have
This
them
is
do unto
us.
you.
This is
I
our
do.
culture. This is
Mike Gallagher for the
if
only
someone said,
mortgage
what
company
is
I've used
you?
for almost a
These
decade
museums
now
are
in
you.
financing
This
or
is you.
refinancing fellowship home
Why are we
loans.
here?
I'm
What is
friends
all
with
this
the owners,
stuff?
Mike and
This
Brian.
is
I
all
even have them
here.
on my
So
show
that's
occasionally.
why we
I know the
preserve
care
it.
their
This is why
team
it's
puts into
important.
every
That's why
single customer.
this is
I
the
can
art. You know, when we
personally
talk
tell
to
you
these
that it's a
Peter
smooth,
Hurd prints, you know,
stress-free
these
process.
people
And that's due
leave
to
the earth.
Fellowship's
Their
level
art
of
stays
service
with
and
us, and that's
expertise
what
that
tells
puts
us.
you in the right
And
loan for your
especially,
family and your goals. There's a
you know,
reason
like
Fellowship Home
I talk
Loans
with
is
various
flooded with
artists and things,
5-star
and
reviews.
some of the
Whether
stuff here,
purchasing
but
a home or
like a lot of
cash-out
artists and
refi,
things, they're
consolidate some
preserving
higher interest
the
debt,
things
you
that are
can trust
gone.
Fellowship Home Loans. Start the
You know,
process. Make the call.
and that's a lot,
800-510
especially New Mexico art. You know, you look at some of these, they're painting scenes in places that don't look the same or aren't the same anymore. And you look at like, you know, like with that particular artwork, he does a lot of like historical buildings that were like in the time of Billy the Kid, and he'll go and do history and recreate them and say, this is what Billy the Kid, when he looked at this place, what it looked like. And the only way you can do that is through art, you know, and so art is everything. It's study of history, but it's also none of that too, and that's the beauty of art. It could be, there could be all the rules in the world, and you break every single one of them, and it's still art. That's the beauty of it. So come expose yourself to it. Come start fight with the flamingos and seeing, you know, we get all excited on some of this, and I just went way over time. I just realized that.
But it's been fun.
But it is definitely very important on that. So please, May 17th, 6 to 10 p.m. at the Liberty. All of this is a benefit for the Roswell Museum and Art Center to recoup from the flood efforts here. Join us. There's going to be a live auction. There's going to be a ton of flamenco music, great food from the Liberty, and get your tickets at the Roswell Museum and Art Center's website. You can get them at thelibertyinc.com. You can also find someone that will be happy to get you tickets on the Facebook or Instagram pages as well too. So, is there anything we missed? Anything? Cindy, is there anything that you want to mention or anything that we didn't get to talk about? I know we kind of covered a lot of stuff. Regan, anything else that we want to mention that we got? I get sidetracked on stuff. Just to make sure we covered everything.
No.
We'll just have to come back.
That's
But
right.
I think you covered the bases.
Good deal. Well, thank you guys and appreciate
Thank
what
you.
you're doing.
Thank you.
Welcome to the new position
Thank you
here.
so
and
much.
I got a feeling we got many visits ahead.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Exciting
Thank you.
times.
Thank you guys. All right, 9:04. I blew right through news. We're going to do a minute of news, and then we'll come back with me. You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, New Mexico.
Growing its international business, it's agreed to acquire British rival Deliveroo for $3.9 billion cash. The move will expand DoorDash's business in Europe, Asia, and the Mideast. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel and what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Welcome. Now we can start hour number 3, even though it's just a big hodgepodge of hour number 2 there. Of Mornings with Mike Winters, though.
Trace and Viernos.
There you go. Thank you. Sorry about that. I legit was just in the zone talking, looked up. Oh, man, it's 9:03. So my apologies there. I get soapbox. I get passionate, and I know y'all get annoyed by it sometimes because I hear it all the time. But this is the platform, man, and I believe all this stuff. Look, that's why I get I don't care what you guys do. Find your thing and get involved with it.
Sure, absolutely.
I see so many people complain about things and getting mad about things.
Now, I don't mean to instantly go into a complaint about something, but I do have to ask you one thing.
Yes.
Can you just tell me the name of the event real quick one more time?
Flamenco Fiesta.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Right.
Because I was a room over, and it sounded like you said flamingo like 17 times. And I want to make sure you were pronouncing it right, sir.
Flamenco.
Because
With a
I
C.
take umbrage.
Yeah, well,
with
flamenco's
people who
a
are
bird.
Yeah, people who are
Flamenco's
like,
a
that's
dance.
flamenco dancing, you know?
Yeah, I know.
That's literally my family history. It's like they do the flamenco dancing thing. I'm like, y'all, it's flamenco. If you don't say it right, you don't get to enjoy the art form.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
I don't remember if I've told this story on the radio or not, but how I was exposed to flamenco dancing. So in high school, believe it or not, I took 3 years of Spanish.
Did you really?
Spanish 1, 2, and 3 in high school, freshman, sophomore, and junior year.
¿Qué te gusta hacer?
I did not do well in the first 3 years of Spanish.
That's fair.
But and I don't blame. I blame others. No, I'm just kidding.
Most do.
But I will tell you this: I had and over the 3 years, I had a Spanish teacher who taught me Spanish 1. She was clearly. We had 2 teachers that taught Spanish at our high school.
Mm-hmm.
One that was more energetic, enthusiastic, younger, and then there was another lady who was probably a fine teacher 30 years ago.
30 years prior to when you were.
By the time I got to her, she spoke multiple languages, not all of them in the right class.
Okay, so you were taking Spanish, French.
Some days
Russian.
she start busting into French and like, this ain't French class, lady. This is Spanish class. This ain't Latin, lady. And so, needless to say, I didn't learn much in Spanish 2.
Oh, okay.
And then Spanish 3 came back. And why I did it, I don't know.
That's what I want to know is why did you follow it up? Were you trying to achieve the credit or?
I don't know. But I had logic at the time.
Was that a mom and dad thing? Did they
no.
force your hand?
Maybe Dad did. Dad was kind of a, anything. But anyway, I don't know. At the time, it made sense. It does not to me now. But anyway, I took 3 years of Spanish. And so I had the other lady for Spanish 3. But part of Spanish 3 was we went on a field trip.
Okay.
To a Spanish restaurant in D.C. called El Bodegón.
Ooh.
And at El Bodegón, they serve traditional Spanish cuisine.
Nice.
A la paella and other dishes. But
So you're talking about not Mexican food. You're talking about Spanish
food. Spain.
A lot of plantains. A lot of
paella. That's rice dishes. That's their big. That being said, most of the Spanish dishes at said restaurant aren't available to your 11th grade Spanish high school Spanish class. Because this is a restaurant it's D.C. I mean, this is a place you kind of get a little fancy for.
Sure,
and they serve dishes that have very costly price tags.
Right. When they say either market price or financing available, those are usually two.
So we get the $12 paella with some chicken in it, you know.
Right.
Which was good, but we got to experience like Spanish culture. So it was the paella. They do the they did like how they serve you wine, but we didn't have wine. We had Coke, but with like a wine skin. Have you all heard of that? It's a leather deer bladder. They literally the wait staff comes and they squirt it in your mouth. That's kind of the tradition. And then afterwards, our teacher ordered a traditional flamenco dance. Said flamenco dance at this restaurant consisted of, and this is where I was like, at first thought it was creepy, but then years later, at the time, my high school brain was like, this is sad and weird. Years later, it started to make sense.
Sure.
But I will never forget, at that time, this lady, she was a sub 5 feet. She was not a tall lady. She was also not a young lady. I'm going to guess anywhere. It's hard to tell. A lot of makeup, dresses.
Well, when you said she was not a tall lady, I already assumed she was older because they shrink.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to guess anywhere between 60 and 80. Somewhere in that. I don't know for sure. Somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay.
Well, she come out of this room, all 4'10" of her, in the full flamenco dress, dragging this 3x3 board, like dance floor, literally her board for her dance. Looks like it weighs like. I'm getting visions of the Passion of the Christ here, where this old lady's dragging this big, heavy, and the only thing is missing is the blood and the whips.
Right.
It's just like. What am I getting into?
That was how she trained. Was with the blood.
It was just off-putting in my brain.
Sure.
And so I'm like, what are we about to get into here? And she literally dragged this board into the middle of because our tables were kind of horseshoe, the classes around it. And so she drags this board by herself. No, there's grown strapping men that work here that couldn't help this lady.
Where's somebody to help her out?
Put the board. I almost got up, but
at this point, this was probably her 16th dance that week. So the guys were just standing like,
just was odd.
Let's just let it happen.
And then she proceeded to put said board down, and then she did about 5-10 minutes of the flamenco dance. She did it with the castaneda, whatever they call those things.
Castanedas.
Yeah, them things.
Yep.
The cucaracha shaky thingy.
Maracas.
And she had the special shoes that made a lot of noise on that little board of hers.
Just tap shoes.
And she did a great job. Wonderful. I mean, as a lady of her 60 to 80 years of age, she was jamming.
Yeah.
It just was weird to watch this lady that looked like they'd literally let her out of the dungeon in the basement, put this dress on her, and said, "Go dance for these people, monkey."
Mike,
it just felt weird.
Here's what it is. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of 16 to 17-year-old Mikey Winters. He hears flamenco dance. In his mind, there's cartoons that he's seen young, tall, beautiful Spanish women
like
coming out.
Girls
and then out comes Agnes dragging plywood. And Mike just goes, oh.
It was a letdown of what I was not, that was not, because it was kind of a fancy restaurant and everything. Right. I was like, it's kind of upscale. And then this rolled in. I'm like, I almost feel like they don't do this. And my teacher literally begged them to do something and they did this.
She's like, We haven't done that in 13 years.
Right.
They had to call the lady. She's been retired.
Exactly. That's what it felt like. It felt like they said, drag this woman out for this thing to make these people dance for a monkey and send away. They're paying $75. Make them dance. That's what I felt like it was.
So wait a second. So now I'm picturing in my head, this is her. I retired, Nikki. I'm out of the game.
Right.
I'm out of the flamenco game. You can't drag me back in. Listen, Agnes, we need you for one more job.
Yeah.
I promised myself I'd never do this. Straps on dress. This is like her Die Hard or her like
it
her
felt
hero
very
movie.
much like that. It felt oogie. It felt like I imagine if I went to other places.
Mhm.
That's how I would feel. That's what I felt about this one. Like if I went into a massage parlor, this is what I feel like it's gonna feel like. It had that same oogie vibe to me.
Yeah, it was weird that Mike still slipped her his number. I mean, hey, dude, it's a baller move.
She's a good dancer.
And she called back.
It moves.
Right. And I mean, you know she's got the hips.
Right? She probably more, but it was just a weird. It was one of those young times where I got to experience something I was like, yeah, this is not what it was advertised. That was one of those moments in time.
I was expecting different.
But is our guest here, by the way?
I haven't seen anybody yet.
Okay. Yes. Peggy Boland's scheduled to join us here to talk astronomy club with us here today. Yeah, she also does astronomy club.
No, I don't think I've ever interviewed her for anything different besides Camp Invention.
I think she's in like next week for Camp Invention, but today we're talking astronomy club. So she'll join us to give us. Although she rescheduled, I hope she wrote down in her own schedule that she rescheduled this because it was on a different date. So, but Peggy will be. If she doesn't join us here in a bit, well, I'll find something else. But we'll. In the meantime, you get to hear this story. So, the same Spanish teacher. And this is now kids, because every once I see this meme on Facebook, I'm like, yep, that was me to a T. Our high school was ghetto.
Okay. Did you go to one of those PSs?
No.
Okay.
It was a actually named high school. Matter of fact, I went to Thomas Stone High School.
Okay.
Do you have any idea who Thomas? He signed the Declaration of Independence for Maryland. He's one the Maryland signers of the Declaration of Independence.
Nice.
Anyway, school was it's been remodeled, and when I went there, they didn't have enough classrooms for kids and students. My school had the fallout. You know how like Goddard has the fallout shelter and all that here?
Yeah.
My high school had the exact same thing at Thomas.
Really?
Same, almost. I'm guessing they were some cookie cut. It was probably built around the same time as Goddard was in the 60s there. That same ilk, same. To be honest, Goddard OG is very similar to my school.
So it was underground.
Well, just that part, not the whole school, just a section of it.
Okay.
But they also had trailers in the back.
Portables.
Portable, yes.
Yeah.
I.e. trailers.
Yeah.
And so we had a fleet of trailers my entire high school career there. And my Spanish class was in said trailers.
Okay.
Senor Baile. That was her.
Really? Her name was
Senora Baile.
Senora Baile.
Yeah.
That's Senora Dance?
Yeah. Well, Mrs.
Okay,
That's
Mrs.
the
Dance?
Senora.
Yeah, Mrs. Dance?
I don't know her first name.
Because Baile is B-A...
There's an R in there. Senora
okay.
Baile.
Baile, okay.
Yeah, there's an R in there. So
Okay.
Hers is a little different.
Well, Baile is dance.
Yeah, Baile is dance. Hers is like barley and Baile put together.
Okay.
But anyway, her classroom was in the trailers. And the weird part was her trailer was on the end of the trailers, and right next to the trailers was the parking lot. Senora Bailey parked 2 spots over from her trailer every day. We knew her car. She had a Buick Grand National, Buick Regal, not Grand National, that'd be cool. Like a Buick Regal or Buick Delta 88, one of those cars of the 80s that looked like one of those cars. And she had one of those. And so she parked there every day. And one day, the entire class moved her car.
Just moved it, like lifted it and moved it?
Lifted it and moved it horizontal in the parking space next to her.
God.
And it was quite a feat because it was not like a Yugo. It was a Buick.
Yeah, we're talking about a Buick. My car, you could probably get like 2 dudes and off the highway.
The good news is we had like 20, 30, and we had at least a half dozen football players on the team. Like there was guys bigger than me. I just had to roll in there. And the cool part about it was she was a nut job as a teacher. Like, she pinged crazy.
Right.
But as a teacher, she was a very good teacher, and she was also related well with her students. Like, she'd go into these weird, crazy tangents. You're like, settle down, Beavis. But at the end of the day, she was kind of a cool person. Like, she could talk with kids and relate to kids and have conversation with the kids and didn't sound like you're being talked down to her. You know, she was good at that. And she also took that in stride. Like, yes, she pinged and she freaked out, but afterwards she laughed and admitted that was pretty good. You know, no harm, no foul, nothing was done. So it was all
so
in good.
you just essentially moved it from the ones to the space.
Basically, it was two angles, the angled spots. Like, if you angle, like when you come up, basically that one spot next to her was empty. So we literally took that back into that car and turned it all the way horizontal.
Okay.
So it was basically parked horizontally in those two diagonal parking spaces.
That is quite a feat.
And so that's the two things I remember from my Spanish class was Senor Barley moving the car and my trip to El Bodegón restaurant. And that's also where my nickname started back in the day. Is our guest here?
Yeah.
Yes, that's where it started in high school Spanish 1.
Nice. I took 2 years of Spanish. Miss Macias was my first Spanish teacher, Spanish 1. I gained a lot out of that class. I legitimately remembered and put some things to practice. However, I followed that up with Spanish 2, and my Spanish 2 teacher, I'm pretty sure it's okay to say her name because I don't think it's her last name anymore, was Mrs. Yepes. Miss Yepes.
Okay.
Miss Yepes was a beautiful, beautiful young lady. Still is, I assume. She had very intense features. We'll just leave it at that. I got a 13 in that class. Like, overall.
Out of 100?
Out of 100. Like, overall my grade was a 13. I failed that class miserably. I attended every single class.
Right.
I didn't get a thing out of that class. I'm pretty sure she went on to become a police officer. So.
Do you know, like, all the Spanish words for milk?
I know at least 3.
Is that where your focus of studies were?
I love tres leches, yes.
All right, our guest is here, yes. It is 9:21. Let me give you the rundown for this hour of the show. We'll get you up to date with the weather here in just a bit. We do have slight chances of rain today and tomorrow. And then shortly thereafter, we're going to have Peggy Boland join us talking Astronomy Club. If you're thinking, we have one? Yes, we do. And they do quite a bit of stuff. So Peggy will join us here and talk about Astronomy Club. Later on in the hour, we'll get you up to date with news of the local variety, Wall Street business updates, and whatever else we can come up with for this hour of the show. But first, your weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We still could get a shower or two around the Roswell area today, but pretty much sunshine everywhere else. Will be in the low 70s and a little windy. A few gusts around 30 miles an hour with that low pressure system clearing out of our area. Few clouds overnight. Will be in the upper 40s to about 50. Slim chance of a shower or two on Wednesday, but we will have some sunshine, low 70s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently, refresh. Yeah, it's refreshed. Currently 55 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is at 74%. Winds are calm at the moment. Excuse me. I'm trying to fight that one. We are looking at a 30% chance at some rain for this afternoon. Actually, the mainly between noon and 3. That's what they're saying the sweet spot is. So, midday rainings. Mostly sunny. Highs only expect to hit 68 today with west winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, looking at an overnight low of 48 degrees, northwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wednesday, we are looking at a 20% chance at some showers for the afternoon. Otherwise, sunny tomorrow. Highs expected to hit near 70 degrees. Winds will be out of the north at around 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, overnight low of 48 degrees. Northeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Looking at the rest of the week, sunny and 74 for Thursday. North winds at around 5 miles per hour. Sunny and 78 for Friday. And then looking at the weekend, mostly sunny, 79 Saturday. mostly sunny, and 81 on Sunday. So start warming up into the 80s here by Monday, or by Sunday. Monday, we go into the upper 80s, pushing 90, 88 for high. So enjoy the 60s today, 70s for most of the week, but upper 80s pushing 90 by Monday of next week. All right, 24 minutes after 9, we're going to take a 2.5-minute break, and then Peggy Bolin talking Astronomy Club will join us on the other side. Don't go away.
Hey, Roswell, during these unprecedented times when others are raising prices, Roswell Ford is lowering ours with employee pricing for everyone. So you pay what we pay. Only at Roswell Ford. Make no payments for 90 days. Upside down in your current vehicle and want out early? Roswell Ford can help you get out of your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, regardless of make, miles, or condition. So you can pay what we pay today with employee pricing to all customers on new Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs. And our aggressive finance team will push to approve your credit, even if it's less than perfect. Attention business owners, Roswell Ford has a great selection of commercial vehicles, and we have them for less. Plus, Roswell Ford offers mobile services, so our certified technicians will come to you and perform oil changes, tire rotations, batteries, recalls, and more. Contact us for details. For massive American-made savings and employee pricing for everyone, get on board at Roswell Ford, 821 North Main Street in beautiful Roswell. Call 575-623-3673 or online at roswellford.com. Interest accrues from date of sale on select vehicles. Trade balance refinanced to new low, subject to lender approval. Offers not combined. Expires at month's end.
Whether you're a homeowner, a landscaper, or a contractor, we all have reasons to dig. If you're planning to dig, this is just a friendly reminder that locating underground utilities is important. It's actually the law. Call 811 3 days before you dig. New Mexico Gas Company is one of the utilities that will come out free of charge to mark our underground lines up to the meter, so you'll know what's below. We're New Mexico Gas Company, and our priority is keeping you safe. That's why we're here. Learn more at nmgco.com.
Injury, surgery, or illness can set you back, but you don't have to recover alone. At Artesia General Hospital, our rehabilitation services team provides physical, occupational, and speech therapy to help you regain strength, mobility, and confidence. Take the next step toward recovery. Call 575-736-8174 today to schedule an appointment and get back to living life to the fullest.
Maybe your AC unit needs a little tender, loving care. If you don't know where to turn, then you don't know Jack. In fact, they're downright funky. Let the boys at Fergie's Plumbing and Heating get your AC unit ice cold, just like some of my lady friends. Don't let any fool make you lose your cool. Fergie's Plumbing and Heating. If you don't know Fergie, then you don't know Jack. 632-2660.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. U-Haul is the world's largest advertiser in the Yellow Pages. Too bad millennials don't know what the Yellow Pages are. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 27 minutes after 9 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning, Peggy Bolin back with us, wearing a slightly different hat this morning.
Yes.
Wearing her Astronomy Club hat today. Good morning. How are you doing,
Good morning.
Peggy?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. And, of course, for folks that know you, you know, you're kind of all things STEM when it comes to teaching and getting involved. So, you know, obviously, you know, with Camp Invention coming up, which, by the way, get your kids signed up. You're running out of time to get that done, but do
and
that
we
here.
still have partial scholarships.
Yeah, we still have all that. Reach out to Peggy for that. But you know, you're always involved with stuff at the library, with you know, Walker Aviation. You're involved in various, and all of it's kind of got a STEM stamp on it.
Yes.
a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that by default you're very much a part of the Astronomy Club here too. So if you always, you know, maybe, or if you're yourself one of those folks that are always, you know, looking at the stars and things, or maybe you've been interested but you don't have the equipment or the knowledge but had an interest, well, maybe we ought to put you on here with the Astronomy Club here and talk a little bit about that, because that's what you guys do. It's a group that as much a social group as it is, with a common interest of we love astronomy, we love looking at the night skies, and we like seeing what mysteries it holds.
That's true.
And that's kind of it's. I always look at astronomy like that. It's almost like you know, when you grow up and you always had like a grandparent or something that had like the police scanner in their bedroom that for all hours they're just monitoring, and they know so-and-so got a speeding ticket today. It's like astronomy is a little like the club is, where you're looking at the night skies and you're seeing what's going on, seeing movement, seeing things. Is that an asteroid? Is that a a star. What is it that's
is that
moving
the
out
ISS?
there? Yeah, is that one of NASA's things? Yeah,
right.
that's the beauty of astronomy club is you're kind of just observing the night sky and seeing what's going on out there. You know,
Right.
that's kind of what it's about. At the same time, learning. You know, this is the great opportunity to bring your kids and learn about the constellations and where they come from and why they're here and why we call them what's the history behind them. You know, in case you notice, there's a lot of Greek and Roman mythology in that stuff.
Correct.
Which,
That is
so,
true.
So that's part of it. But that's what astronomy club is you get to do all that. And I get it. Sometimes buying the telescopes and everything to see if you're really into it, that's a lot of money investment and things. So
It is.
maybe astronomy club is to see if you're wanting to spend that kind of money in an investment. Check it out first and say, hey, I love this. I am now going to spend some money on a telescope, but I want to make sure I like it first before I do that. Maybe astronomy club's your chance to do that.
Well, there are some low-end telescopes.
Sure. You can
for
buy one
sale.
at like
You
the
can-
box store, and
right,
they work.
and that's to start.
They work
I mean,
to get
that's
your
a
foot in the
starter.
door. Now, when you really want to see something, those do have limitations on some of
Right. I mean, it's kind of like buying a starter home.
Sure.
You get the first one, then you upgrade.
I'll never forget when I was in school younger days, was when Halley's Comet came through. That's the once every 75 years.
Yeah, now you're aging yourself.
Yes, a little bit. And I remember we went and my dad got me a telescope. Now, it was one of the ones you buy at Kmart or something like that for $50 or whatever. But that's we all sat out there for like that week out there every night looking at Halley's Comet and doing all that stuff. And it's one of those childhood memories I still kind of hold dear to this day kind of thing. And so Astronomy Club does that kind of stuff too. And just, when we do have those millennial type events that happen from time to time in our lifetimes that you get to be a part of. But in between that, it's really just checking out. And like you said, you could get in buy the box store telescope that kind of gets you the interest. And then once you realize how much more you're seeing and doing, and then we can start getting to the more high dollar ones that take pictures and do all kinds of different stuff.
Right.
But I'm going to take a stab. There's people in the Astronomy Club that have some of that stuff, and you kind of get
Right,
to
and it's
see
not
it.
a requirement.
Yeah.
You do not have to have a telescope. In fact, some people use binoculars.
It's whatever. If you have an interest,
right?
It's kind of you get to hang out and learn from other, because that's the other cool thing is when you see things out there, you're like, what the heck is that? Odds are there's probably someone in the group saying, I know exactly what that is, or you know what, I don't know what it is, but I know exactly where to look it up and find out what it is, and that's kind of what Astronomy Club's about, right?
Right. And if you've never seen Saturn or Jupiter through the telescope, you are missing something.
It is a different experience.
It is so cool because you see it in a picture and you're like, nah,
But
it
doesn't
could
do
be
it
an art.
justice.
No, it's kind of going to the Grand Canyon or seeing it in a picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Exactly.
just not the same.
Yeah, and then when you,
You
see
know.
it through the telescope and you see the rings of the
Right, and it's like, my gosh,
by
it
the
is
way,
real.
more planets than Saturn have rings, by the way. You just don't necessarily see them the way
Correct.
you see the ones in Saturn.
Right.
By the way, just in case if y'all don't remember this, and I don't know, I hope this is still true, but the one factoid that always put the planets in perspective for me was, y'all know that little red gas bubble that's on Jupiter? You could fit 4 planet Earths in that gas bubble. Just to let you know the size of Jupiter. And to me, that was a stat that always stuck in my head as a kid and through time. It's like, you don't realize how little you are when you're like, you could literally fit 4 planet Earths in that little red bubble that's on the picture of Jupiter right there. Yeah.
Right.
That to me
the storm.
to me, that's put space in a nutshell in a whole perspective to me. It's like, we look at this and Earth and everything we got, and it's like, yeah, you can fit 4 of these in that little speck on that thing on that deal. And that's and to me, that's why astronomy and stuff is. Now, I'm by no means knowledgeable on all the
I'm not either.
stuff.
And that's why I'm in the
But I
district
can
to learn
appreciate
more.
the beauty of what is there. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's kind of like you don't have to know the stuff to say, man, that's beautiful. You know what I mean? And see, and then obviously some nights are better, and then others because of weather and things. And this is again another blessing that you don't realize you have by living out in the part of the world you live in.
Right.
As a guy that grew up in D.C. and Maryland and all that, I saw Halley's Comet, but I saw it through the lens of city lights. It wasn't. It was beautiful, but I'm guaranteed people out here had a way better view of it than I did.
Right.
And that is the blessing of living out in the desert. Because at night you drive a couple miles outside of the city.
Yeah, you definitely have to get out of
and
Roswell
it's a whole
to
different
see
world to see
the
it.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
so-
we don't have a lot of friendly outdoor lighting here in Roswell, because it all should be pointed down. All of the street lights should be pointed down.
Yeah.
You know, the billboard shouldn't be like really, really bright.
Yeah. Well,
And so we don't
they're pointed
have-
up, actually. Usually most of those lights.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So we don't have a lot of, you know, friendly outdoor lighting.
That's why you got to
for-
get out in the desert a little
Right,
bit and,
right.
to experience it. But it's not far. Whereas where I grew up, it's kind of hard you can't drive far enough away to get dark enough. You know what I mean? There's just too much civilization going on.
Exactly. That's why when we have star parties, and the club does have star parties, there are private events. It's for the members.
Yeah.
We can't just invite the public because it's in a location that's
that generally,
out of town.
Yeah, you can't just roll up on.
Right,
It's the middle of nowhere.
Right. And so if somebody becomes a member, then they can go to the site, and we have the big telescopes out there, and you know, and people can really view the night sky.
Yeah, so that's the perk
You know?
of being in the astronomy club.
Right,
You get to
exactly.
go to the places that are a little hard to get to sometimes if you don't know a person, because a lot of it's private land.
Right.
And it's not even about access; it's just about permissions.
Exactly.
Can you be on some guy's land out there looking at the stars? You know, I'm just saying, if you own land out there and a bunch of people hung out and didn't tell you about it, you might be a little salty about that.
Right.
Where you guys have the connections,
We have the permission.
and made the permissions, and so when they see you out there, they're not ready to come at you with a shotgun.
Yeah, which is always best.
But I guess because I think in the past, don't you guys even go to like some of the missile silos and stuff because they just have nice pads and places where you can,
we've gone to
where you
a
can set up
few-
shop kind of thing.
Right, we've gone to a few different locations,
and they're all in the middle of nowhere. So
they're in
all
the
good
middle of
spots.
nowhere, away from Roswell enough, where we get better skies.
So I know traditionally the Friday before UFO Festival has always been a night where no matter what, the astronomy, unless weather permitting, of course, but the astronomy club has always set up we're going to be doing our star party somewhere during that time. But how often do you guys meet monthly to go out and look at the stars? I mean, what's the time frame?
1 or 2 times a month, depending on the month.
Season,
And the season. During the winter, we don't, because we're, hate to say it, but we're older. Some of us are older.
It's a little cold out there
and
at night.
it's cold outside.
Yeah.
You know, I used to be from Wisconsin, and it was, I had thicker blood or something.
Yeah.
You know, and come down here after 30 plus
Well,
years.
and this
it's
is
like,
the
ooh.
desert. This is where people don't realize it's the desert. In the day, it gets hotter and all get out. But at night, it drops. That's what makes it a desert. It goes extreme temperatures. It goes from 3 digits to not single digits, but low double digits in a 24-hour span easily. It could easily be 100 during the day and drop down to the 40s at night. That's
just,
not uncommon here for New Mexico.
And that's why, you know, during the winter we pause those star parties, but then they're up and going again.
Sure.
And we also have moon gazes, but those are probably once a month, I'd say.
Well, the moon thing's a little more because it's a cycle. Like you have a full moon around the same time every month, and this you kind of
right, and you don't
kind of
want
plot
to
and plan on those.
Right, and you can't have a moon gaze strangely during a full moon.
The
because
one time it's
too
bad.
bright.
Gotcha.
To look through a telescope. So you have to get it at a crescent moon.
Crescent moon.
Crescent moon is
well,
the
I
best.
imagine even when it's like a day or two around full moon, it's too much too.
Right.
Where it's not quite full.
Mm-hmm.
A sliver of it's behind, but it's still pretty
yeah,
bright.
it's too bright.
Yeah.
Half or
But here's
quarter
the
or
thing
less.
too that you experience out here way more than I did growing up is the moon size.
Yeah.
Like I remember as a kid watching movies and they'd show that scene where the moon's pretty much as big as the, you know what I mean?
So-
And I never saw that back east. I'm like, no, it's always that same little dot or that little ball in the sky. But since I've lived out in New Mexico, now I ain't seen the movie thing where it's literally filling the night sky.
Right, and it
but
never
I've
will.
definitely seen a moon that's like
It looks bigger.
6-8 times larger in appearance than it would anything on the East
Right,
Coast.
and it's
here.
always
Yeah.
on the horizon.
Yeah.
And that's because of the atmosphere and all
Yeah.
of that. So
But
the
that's
moon has not changed size.
Right, it's just our
Okay.
perspective of it.
Right, exactly.
But that's, again, part of that blessing I'm telling folks. You don't realize that you get this here. Not all places get that kind of opportunity to see it that way.
Right.
So, that's kind of why it's a big deal when you see these different eclipses and things, and people literally travel hundreds of miles to be a part of it, because there are places in the world that are better to see things than others, and certain things, especially when it comes to these kind of events, solar or lunar, whatever it is, events.
Right.
But because it's once in a like these eclipses that we just had, these are once in a lifetime things. not many people on planet Earth are going to get to see those when the next time this comes around. Most of us aren't going to be around for that. That's
Right.
why it's so cool and people do that. And Astronomy Club is a little bit of that every month kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So we remember October 14th, 2023, we had the annular solar eclipse.
Gotcha.
And we actually had a company called timeanddate.com. If you look it up, they're legit. They're from Norway. They came all the way to Roswell
Because that was a good...
because this was like the prime location.
Sure. And and to be honest, these people, this is their life.
Yeah.
They study this. This is...
They go...
I'm going to take a stab at little kids. They were sitting out looking at the night. You know what I mean? They were. This is their passion. So for something that's your life's work, you bet your butt you're going to be in the best place possible to make sure you see it.
They chose Roswell, which is great, and they live streamed it from Roswell.
And that's cool, right?
Yeah,
you know, that's so cool. And again, that's part of what makes Roswell awesome. We're such a small town with so many different international footprints and many different ways that people. And it's not all about the aliens. It is about other aspects of our community that do give us an international spotlight. And you know what? The astronomy side's a little bit of that because we live in the desert, we live in the proximity of where we're at in the hemisphere and all that. Sometimes, you know, some of these events turn out, now not always, but sometimes we're the prime spot to see or at least region, you know, within the southwest of the United States is kind of the better place to see it. And it's really, this is the blessings that are living in a desert and living in the type of environment we live in. We always complain about the bad part, the heat, the wind, all that stuff. But the beauty part is we get to see nature's wonders in a way that no other people ever get to see it. And it's not always just about astronomy too. It's the other aspects of Earth and everything else that we get to enjoy here in New Mexico that you do not get to see in other parts of the world.
Right. New Mexico is so diverse too. People don't realize that.
Yeah. So really, Astronomy Club's a little bit about that. So if you have an interest, they're always looking for more folks to be involved in things and come out. So even if you're not knowledgeable, this is a chance to learn.
Right.
This is a chance to, like you said, you don't have to have like you said, people come out there with binoculars. You know, they just come out there. And I'm going to take a stab. If you have none of the above, you come out there, I guarantee there's going to be a bunch of folks with great telescopes and say, hey, come over here, take a look at this.
Right.
Come show that. They will be more than happy to share their love of astronomy with you. That's part of it too. These are people that love astronomy, love every aspect of it, and they would love nothing more to introduce it to people that aren't as knowledgeable about it and maybe get you interested in what they're interested in.
Right. And we've had the Rhodes Scholar Tour Group reach out to us, and we've provided three shows for them.
That's cool.
Right. So they come down a tour group. I mean, astronomy is a big thing.
We kind of, and like you said, we got a nice show to show them. That's the beauty of it. We have a great venue to show them the show.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It's kind of like why a bunch of people go to Carlsbad every night to watch the bats leave the cave. It's one of the few places on the planet that you can actually do and experience something like that.
That's true.
And this is kind of the same thing with astronomy. Yeah, there's great places, but there's things that you can see here that you really can't see in other parts of the world, the country, let alone the world here. And it's in your own backyard. It's right here. So check it out. Come be a part. Learn about it.
So I wanted to mention this Thursday we have a meeting.
Okay.
It's at 7 o'clock. It's always the second Thursday of the month.
That's kind of your monthly business meeting, I guess you could say.
Right. Well, I mean, we actually, during the meeting, we talk about upcoming events.
Okay.
We talk
but you're not
about,
out stargazing during the meeting.
No,
that's our business meeting.
We're at Eastern New Mexico University, Roswell.
Okay.
We're meeting in the planetarium until it flooded.
Right.
So the Eastern New Mexico University, Roswell, opened their doors to us. Thank you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so we're in the OTC building.
Okay.
Occupational.
Technical Center,
something like that. I always call it OTC.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Right, but it's one of the most southern buildings on the campus.
Yes.
So we have a meeting in there, and people are always, if they're interested in coming to the meeting, by all means, they can show up. They don't have to be a member to come to a meeting.
Now, if you want
to check it out.
If you have once more questions, maybe shoot a message to Peggy here about what building again, what time again, that kind of thing, if you need that information. But yeah, all are welcome. Come be a part of it, and I'm sure they'd love to see a new, fresh face in there, just saying, "I just heard you on the radio, and I really think this astronomy stuff's cool. I'd like to do more with it."
Right.
I heard you're the people that can help me do that.
Yeah, and we have families. I mean, it's $15 a year for membership, and that includes the entire family. And
so the whole
we've
family
had-
can get in for
the
15.
whole
Whether you
family
got,
can get
you
in for
know,
$15.
Mom, dad, the kids, the whole kit
Yes.
and caboodle for $15.
Yes,
That's great.
and I shouldn't say every, most meetings we watch like a 30-minute film on something with astronomy so
Right.
that we can learn more
Sure.
because we don't know everything.
Well, and I imagine half the battles when you're not looking at the night sky, you watch because there's so many documentaries and so many things, and then I'm sure there's times where, I come across this great one on the Weather Channel or on Discovery Channel, and did y'all see it? No. Well, here it is. Let's check it out. And because, you know what I mean? Because weather is, and weather, and to be honest, when we talk astronomy, guess what, folks? All your weather, all that stuff, it's all connected. It's all related. What's going on up there is what's going to part of what's going on down here. That all's connected. Right. And so it's kind of cool that you get to you guys learn about that because that's it. That's the interest. And yes, astronomy and the stars, but it's all connected. It all if those weren't there, we couldn't have this. Atmospheres, and we talk about science and why is the sky blue and all these things. Your answers lie within really astronomy and all this stuff, the science, what begat this to became that. It's all there on the table. It's right there. You just gotta know how to read it.
Right. And we've had guest speakers. We've had like astronauts come and speak to us.
That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, we've had.
Well, and that's again,
some
New
really
Mexico's
cool
blessed.
people.
We have a couple. I think I don't think they've all died off yet, but we had several astronauts that call New Mexico home.
Right.
That have been on the moon. Especially what CERN and some of the scientist guys that were on those later Apollo missions that were more scientists first than astronauts. I think most of those guys live in New Mexico.
Well, the guy, one of the two scientists who discovered Hale-Bopp comet, he came and spoke to the club. I mean, we've had even members who are very knowledgeable in different aspects of astronomy. They've talked. So, I mean, it's not just we just see a movie.
Right.
I mean, and there's a lot that goes on
it's
during
history. It's the history and science behind everything.
Right. And so there's a lot that goes on during a meeting. So it's not just,
it's not all business.
It's not all business.
Some pleasure.
Right. But I wanted to mention there's 10 reasons why someone should become a member of the Roswell Astronomy Club. Okay, here we go.
Do it David Letterman style?
Yeah, kind of. Number one, at $15 a year, it covers membership for the entire family.
Nice.
Okay.
So affordability.
That's right. Number two special get-togethers, one in June, one in December, per year for members only. So in June and December, we don't have a meeting at the college.
These are kind of like your star parties kind of thing.
No, this is
even bigger than that.
Potlucks and things like that. We go out to dinner.
Sharing a meal and sharing
just having special time together. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, number 3, discounted price for Roswell Astronomy Club T-shirts, like the one I'm wearing.
There you go.
This one. We have this one as well.
These are cool shirts.
So you get discounted prices for that. Free membership to the Reflector magazine, and this is a Reflector magazine.
Okay.
So you get these sent to you for free if you're a member.
So you get to kind of broaden your and probably inspire your next thing. I was reading in the magazine about. I'm going to look for that next time I'm out there.
Right.
Yeah,
so I mean, $15, you get a free magazine. Really?
Exactly.
You get to let's see. Availability for the astronomy magazine for members only. So there's an astronomy magazine, and I believe we still get a discount.
Okay. So you can save a little money if you go through the astronomy club.
Yes, I believe that's still happening. Things since COVID, that's changed.
Yeah, policies changed.
I need to double check that one, but if I'm wrong, I apologize. Number 6, monthly star parties and moon gazes, except for, of course, the winter months.
Weather permitting. And
weather permitting.
Yes.
That's always the case.
Well,
it's raining or windy or.
If there's clouds, there's no star party. You can't see the stars. No reason to go out there. But yeah, sometimes when it's windy and rainy.
If it's windy and perfectly blue skies, we still can't go out. It's too.
It's hard to line up. It's put it this way: when you're looking at things thousands of miles away, you kind of got to be very exact on your precisions and what you're looking for.
And if the telescope is shaking at all.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, as a person who did it with rudimentary the Kmart telescopes, trying to find the moon as something as big as the moon. Through that thing, it takes a little talent. It takes you just can't point it at the moon and see it. You're like, what am I? It's because it's magnification that you're not looking through binoculars. You're looking through a telescope that has got way more magnification. It's not point and shoot. It's not that. It's in theory in your head it sounds that way until you try to point and shoot. But you're looking at things so close that you lose perspective of where you're at. And so you have to do, and so when it's windy and all that, that's just another variable of that too.
There's educational opportunities to learn more about space from local amateur astronomers and informative lectures, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
There's always cookies at the meeting.
So
always cookies.
Astronomer
Cookies.
always has a cookie in their hand. That's
right.
It's a staple thing.
Yep. And at every monthly meeting, I make sure there's cookies. And then you can become the member of the spaciest group in Roswell.
There you go.
And remember, it's $15 a year.
Well, and it also begats to other things too. Like if like I know you get involved with the rockets and stuff. So if you're kind of into that, your astronomy club might be your foot in the door to that too. You know, right? Like this could begat something else if you're wanting to. But if you're wanting to, but really, if you're wanting to do that, it's there. But if you're like, no, I would just love to go hang out with these guys, where they're out in the middle of nowhere, looking at stars on a Friday night or Saturday night or something like that. If you love to, if that sounds like fun, then guess what? The astronomy club would love to have you do that. And trust me, you know, for every night that it's cold and a little chippy, and you're like, there's that night where you're like, oh my gosh, I just saw things that you will never ever see in your life. That's the beauty of astronomy, is there's so many wonderful, beautiful things going on above you, and we just don't think much about it because from a distance it just looks like dots. But when you put the spotlight on it and you start looking and you see the movements, you see, oh my gosh, that's an asteroid. There's the trail, there's the thing, or that's a meteor, or that's a whatever you're seeing out there. Or you know, you ever seen Venus up close? This is what Venus looks like up close, right here. Why is it the brightest star? Because it's the closest planet. That's why it's the brightest star. Here's what it looks like, you know, and that's kind of, you know, when you Mercury, there's Mercury. Why is it this way as opposed to, you know, because it's farther away. Why do we have trouble seeing Neptune and Pluto and all that? Because they're not as close as Mars and Venus are, you know. But you learn that stuff, and then you see the dots differently. Instead of that, that dot's a little brighter, must be Venus. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then you literally zoom in on it. You take, for you today's kids, take your fingers and zoom in and make it look bigger. That's what essence the telescope's doing, is now you're seeing, instead of seeing a dot, you're seeing a planet, or you're seeing a meteorite, or you're seeing whatever that thing is in space that you're tracking at that particular.
Right, and Venus is called the morning and evening star.
Yeah.
Because it looks like a star, but it's not, and it's very
it's
bright.
Planet.
And a lot of times, you know, starlight, star bright.
Yes.
For a star, could be a planet.
Yeah, it is. Exactly.
So might be a problem there.
And then when you start looking at that, and you look at stuff, and then you start looking at a star, and you're like, you know how many light years away that is from right now? It's like how many years it took from that light that it's emitting to reach us.
Right, which is boggling.
Yeah, it took 1,000 years. We're looking at something that was 1,000, and when you start wrapping your head around that little thing, that's when you're like, whoa, hold on. And that's why astronomy, because explain that. No, I'm looking at the light right now. No.
Yeah.
It was sent at that, it's traveling. It's, you know, and this is where people where time and distance, when you talk about light speed, that's where we're starting to put those two together, and people don't, it's hard to wrap your head around that a little bit. It's like, wait a minute, we're talking about distance or speed? Yes. we're talking about distance, but measuring it in speed, and speed is, you know,
it's bizarre.
So that's where it gets interesting. So if that kind of muddies in your head a little bit, then guess what? Come be a part of the astronomy club. They can break that down, explain it to you, what you're looking at and seeing. And when you say, okay, I'm looking at the star, but it may be dead already, but I'm still seeing the light as it's traveling towards me at this point. You know what I mean? It died 100 years ago, but we're still seeing it because the light is still getting to us.
Right.
And once it's finally there, and then it goes,
weird.
and it's hard to wrap your head around that.
Yes,
you don't get it. It's because this ain't 300-mile trip that we're looking at. These are literally thousands and billions of miles away. I mean, if you want to measure in miles, we're talking the Z's and T's, trillions, zillions of miles. You know those words that I don't even know what the real illions. You know, gazillion. You know, that's what we're talking about here, where it's ridiculous. And so they literally measure it in a different thing, light speed.
Exactly.
And it's this distance and light and how long it takes to travel from here to there, and that's how they measure these things, because you can't quantify it in miles or anything.
True.
But that's the beauty of astronomy, and that's where you're like, wait a minute. So I'm looking at something, but that's distance. But but that's, once you understand that, and then it's like, oh, now it makes sense. this is why this planet's here and why we're seeing it now. And when I was a kid, this wasn't that. And that's, and then things look different depending on where you're at. Like I'm telling you right now, you go to Europe and look at the sky, it's not going to look the same. I mean, I'm not talking brightness level, just the locations of things, depending on the time of the year, certain things are visible, certain things aren't.
Yep.
Like you're standing on this side of the planet, your view out that window is not the same as the view out our window over here. It's like looking at an airplane. The guys on the left side of the plane aren't seeing the same thing as the people on the right side of the plane are seeing on. And even the people in the front of the plane aren't seeing necessarily the things the back of the plane. Looking at the sky in those kind of windows.
Right,
Whereas, like
or going to Australia.
Yeah, you go to a different place, you got a different window.
Yeah, the southern hemisphere versus the northern hemisphere.
You're sitting on an airplane looking at a different window than we are here in this window.
Right, in the southern hemisphere, they don't see the constellation. They don't see the Big Dipper.
They don't even get it all. But then there's things that they get to enjoy that we don't get to.
Right, the Southern Cross.
It's a
that
trade-off,
kind of thing.
yeah. And so literally as astronomers who want to see it all, they're probably spending their life going to different parts of the world to see the best thing that they, and just like you were saying beginning with all these folks from Scandinavia coming to New Mexico to see the eclipse. That's what they do. And that's really what Astronomy Club, it's a little slice of that. So twice a month or whenever it is, we have our meetings. You're more than welcome to come out here and see the world a little bit. It reminds you how big of a space we are in and how little of a speck you are in it sometimes. It's humbling, but it's also exciting too. When you feel overwhelmed and you feel, sometimes looking at something way bigger than you reminds you that, what you got going on isn't quite as bad as you see. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I would even offer it's as much as fun and entertaining. It does make you think a little bit and maybe put your own lives in perspective. That's astronomy does that too.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. So, I just saw the time. We need to wrap. I've had a history of getting running overtime today for some reason.
Okay.
So, but if folks are interested, like I said, you guys are having your actual meeting this Thursday. It'll be on the campus of ENMU.
An OTC building.
OTC building there. What's the best way to get a hold of something? Like, do you guys have a Facebook page that they can reach out to?
We do. We also have, if they Google Roswell Astronomy Club, the website should come up.
Yeah, and that'll take you right there, and then there's a contact us link, and there'll be phone numbers.
And they can contact me.
Yeah, and that way if you have any questions about where, when, times, or what you need to bring, or what you need to do, or what do you recommend, or if you have questions, like maybe you're thinking, look, I've always wanted to do this. Is this something you guys do? And and then they say, you know what, we never have, but you know what?
Sounds like a good idea.
We should. Come on down. Let's talk about it, Or vice versa. They might say, yeah, that's not really in our scope, but we can do this, though. But.
So it's www.roswellastronomy.org.
Very good.
And then Facebook is at Roswell Astronomy Club.
Very good.
So pretty easy.
Just question. You go to the website, can you see all the T-shirts and order them there, too? Like I said, I know you get a discount as a member.
I'm pretty sure.
But if you want to see because I'm telling you, the one here, that's... Like the shirts you got, these aren't like sometimes groups make a shirt and it's nice and all, but it's kind of like, oh, yeah, that thing's going to 3 washes. It's Dunsky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these shirts look the same quality. Like if you legit walked into the Smithsonian or a gift shop at any place like that and got their T-shirt, like I could easily see that shirt sitting on a Smithsonian Air and Space Museum gift store.
Well, we had these locally made.
Yeah.
So,
but they look quality tough.
And
they look
are.
like they're like the design, the logo, and everything looks very high end. Very like that picture. That is not cheap to make a picture like that on a T-shirt.
Yeah, that was designed by the local
that's
printing
cool.
company.
So if you want a cool T-shirt,
I know.
Start there. Start with a T-shirt and let's go from there.
Right, but just to remind people, this Thursday night, 7:00, the Roswell Astronomy Club meeting. If they want to join, it's $15 a year for membership for the entire family.
Like the magazine,
the
all
magazine, free cookies at the meeting,
discount on the shirts and everything else.
That's right.
And access to these exclusive nights out in the middle of nowhere,
exactly.
Places that you yourself just can't roll up on unless you know somebody.
Right.
The Astronomy Club gets to go out there legally without fear of getting shot or arrested.
Yeah, and we also have like a star party the night before Dragonfly Festival.
Yes, that's kind
at
of
Bitter Lake.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
That's
so
kind of the
we
public
try to
spotlight thing.
Right, we try to be in the public. We try to, moon gazes are in.
For guys that hang out at night, you do try to be in the public a little bit.
Right.
Your night creatures.
And our moon gazes have been at Cielo Grande.
Good deal. Because that you don't have to drive too far.
Right.
But it's still dark enough in that area where you can get a good look at the moon, because Cahoon Park's a very, nice area to recreate and stuff. But at night, it doesn't have a lot of lighting compared to other parts of the town. So.
Right.
So it's a good place to do that, too.
And those dates are posted on our website.
Yeah. Again.
So in case people are interested, they can look on the website. And except for the star parties, we don't give a location.
Membership has its privilege on that.
That's right. That's right.
Good to be the member on that too. So, again, check that out, and thank you very much for we'll see you here in a couple of days.
Next week
for the
Camp Invention.
My brain's cramping. Go to invent.org/camp. We'll do cross plug there if you're interested in signing your student up kindergarten through 6th grade.
Entering
kindergarten through 6th grade. It's going to be back again there at the Catholic Church there,
All Saints Catholic
Church.
School.
Big thank you to them. And but put it this way, there's less spots than normal, and so if you're hoping to wait till the end of this month to get your kids signed up, you might lose out on that one.
You might.
Very good. Well, thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
We'll see you next week.
All right.
All right, it's 10 o'clock. You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, New Mexico. Have an amazing day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.
His administration is willing to work with immigrants who voluntarily leave the United States.
What we thought we'd do is a self-deport, where we're going to pay each one a certain amount of money, and we're going to get them a beautiful flight back to where they came from.
He says immigrants who self-deport and leave the U.S. might have a chance to return legally. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The East